Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Does the audio not work?
No.
Okay. See if you guys can get the audio up there so that we can. Jessica, why does that delight you? You've got a little Billy in you on a Wild Willy Wednesday.
Billy?
That we can't get even the simplest things right. Is that what's making you laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So sound is important in this medium, as you guys know. So if you're trying to set up a joke, you need to have sound with the video. We've been working hard on the video.
So perfect.
The sound is sort of a problem at the moment. Jimmy Butler last night, that entire spectacle, the entirety of it, was sad. I was made sad by all of it. And
Which part specifically?
that a relationship that was good with everyone involved can't even shake hands at the end. Like that can't be, that the money would get that corrosive. Look, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories here because allow me here to get here because it's going to take a second. But the nature of competitive people, okay? My brother was very competitive, okay? That's an impossible industry. Art, selling out of the back of your car, fighting for money because you want to do what you dream about. And at the end of his career, because somebody was getting in the way of his money, there was an 80-year-old man who runs a company that my brother was ready to fight, physically fight, because of whatever competitive is at the most competitive. Jimmy Butler is 1,000,000 times more competitive than my brother, and I think Pat Riley is more competitive than that. And those two dudes want to fight. And I imagine the marketing meeting where Riley's coming into the room and telling everybody, I know we want to be class and everything, but can we say at the end, and also bleep you, Jimmy, at the end of the video. I want to know who talked Riley into doing that. It had to be the Harrisons. I'm going to find out because I don't know what you guys made of the emotion of that, but it wasn't just that the game was a bummer. It's that, man, that was a good relationship. That was a good relationship for everyone involved. And the money gets in the way like that.
Competitiveness is overrated as just a value to have, right? Because it ruins a lot of things. It ruins relationships. It ruins a lot. And when you talk about somebody like Steph Curry, for example, who's kind of in, the center of their universe, what do people say about him? I mean, what do people say about Steph all the time? First thing they say.
Nice guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler said in a story by Anthony Slater in The Athletic, he's real, right? He just treats everybody really nice. That's not like a skill. Right? That's something that you can just do to people, right? And so when you watch the end of that game or beginning of that game where they don't shake hands, nobody, Bam walks past him as if he was a stranger. And then after the game, they have, not only does Jimmy just kind of slink off and go back to the back without talking to any Heat players, what does every single Warrior do that played with Andrew Wiggins, including Steph Curry, who had already gone back to the locker room, came back out to talk to Andrew Wiggins? Why? Nice guy. People love him. How is that not so telling about as much as we enjoyed this Jimmy Butler experience for 5+ years, it was always going to be that because that's who he is. And I'm sorry for the Warriors, but at some point he's going to be that there too.
Wow, are you calling the shot now?
Well, it's, you know what? I take that back. Steph Curry could be that powerful of an alien that his power of friendship is just more, stronger than everybody else's. But it's just it was the relationship between Miami and Jimmy Butler in a nutshell last night.
But what are we doing? He didn't leave on good terms. And again, we've made it about the root cause, which is true. I think the money, but in his pursuit, he burned bridges inside before he was out of here. He burned bridges with people that he played with, and so. I didn't look at that and they're not saying hello. I'm like,
but
yeah.
that normally happens. Like the issues between the player and management. It's usually, hey, I'm dunking and I'm yelling at the GM on the sideline. This was just icy. This was worse than Kobe Shaq because it was nobody on that team that Jimmy wanted to talk to. Nobody on the Miami Heat team.
Can I talk to you guys about the idea of proud men being disrespected? Because when I tell you that Shaq wanted to fight Pat Riley at the end over money and disrespect. When the conversation is, and all of this starts with Jimmy saying, and I would have taken us to the finals if I hadn't been injured, and Pat Riley publicly saying, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. The word shut your mouth on disrespect of a proud man. When I tell you that my brother wanted to fight an 80-year-old and Jimmy Butler, whatever he was doing in private, that's where disrespect started. And so he enters the game yesterday saying, I've got nothing to say to Pat, and he better not have anything to say to me.
Or what? What is he going to do? Punch an 80-year-old? Like, what is that?
What's an 80-year-old going to do? Punch him? Like, this is a ridiculous scenario in which neither person is actually going to fight the other one. I'd love to see them fight. I really would.
No, you wouldn't.
I would
No,
absolutely
you wouldn't.
love
No,
to see
no,
them fight.
no.
This is tough guy bull. That they're both going back and forth. I'll fight him. I'll fight him. And neither one of them wants to actually fight the other.
What's Pat said?
I would love for Jeremy, please. I would love for everyone to just kind of stop being the guy that holds the other one back, and everyone just be like, you know what, guys, go. Let's resolve this exactly how you guys want to, and see what happens there. Because neither one of them would actually fight the other one. Let them fight. See how it goes. Because neither one of them will hit the other one.
Jeremy was so excited about today, and with 2 words in 7 minutes, you have crushed him, Billy.
Not me.
Nothing can crush me.
He was so annoying. I walk into the makeup room this morning, and he's like, this was the best night of my whole year. And I was like, you were fist-bumping a buzzer beater like a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, don't act like this is the only Heat game that's made you happy
I
this
was
year.
fist-pumping my own interview
He said this
skills,
was better than my wedding day, he said
Yeah,
to
we
us.
all believe that, Jeremy.
I told my wife that last night.
Honey, are you watching this? Isn't this better than our anniversary? No, look, I don't know if the word fight came out of anyone's mouth. You guys are making a leap here, right? When he says, you better not have anything to say to me, it's not, or I'll punch him in the face. It's, or I'll say things that have been behind the scenes that no one has revealed that I will reveal. And I think both parties kind of feel like, hey, I could have made this a lot worse if I talked about the way you guys did this or the way you did that. But I'm trying to take the high road. They're both trying to do that. And, it is what it is.
No one's trying to take the high road here.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Get out of here.
Dude, they're not taking the low road is what I'm telling you.
They're not taking the low road, but
Okay.
like when he puts out a tweet of Andrew Wiggins saying hi to all of his teammates and then puts something along the lines in the caption of great to see a former player go and make up with his coach and teammates, like, come on.
Yeah,
You're not trying to take the high road.
Well, they
didn't tweet
definitely
that.
didn't. I mean, look, that intro video was half-baked. It didn't have like the play-by-play. It didn't have the celebration. Oh, the Miami Heat win the Eastern Conference Championship. Didn't have any. Didn't have quotes from Jimmy Butler showing his
I wonder why.
personality and everything else.
I wonder why the quotes weren't there. Is it because they were all lies?
They also don't normally do that. Jeremy, please. They also don't normally do that in the intros because they want it to build up a little bit, right? And they do that as the after the first break. You're coming
And also
back
because no one's there.
because no one's there. That's another
hold on.
reason.
That building was packed. Now, 40% of them were
Normally
Warriors
no one's
fans.
there.
There were a lot of Steph Curry jerseys. Can we
Ton,
talk about
dude.
that?
Curry jerseys.
Look, we thought the Warriors fans were going to be like, yeah, Jimmy Butler's going to. They're like, Jimmy who? No, Steph Curry. 90%
And most of those
them
fans,
speak English.
yeah, 90% of the Steph Curry fans didn't speak English. This man is an international megastar. Jimmy Butler's just another teammate to them.
It's still the Beatles. Dan, I get it. They're like the 7th seed or whatever they are in the West. They're still the Beatles. People still show up, and they show up early to watch that guy warm up.
But I mean, come on. Like, if I told you in some incarnation of the future, there's going to be a bunch of human beings who are unbelievably athletic, but one is an actual wizard, floats around the court and does something that no one's ever been able to do. Like everyone who comes internationally to watch Steph Curry, just because you watch the games every night and know that you're no longer amazed by something amazing doesn't mean that you're watching something. It's not in sports. It might as well be God coming to life and appearing before you because it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can't imagine anything better than that either at that size.
I'm not desensitized by his magic, but I am surprised that a team that has fallen from grace, relative to where they once were, still attracts the traveling caravan of people from across the globe to just glimpse him. Dan,
they don't even have to. He doesn't even have to play.
There was so much media at the game that Heat PR had to seat us like in the stands. That's how many people were there. And as I'm sitting there, Dan, I'm hearing people. They know he's not playing. When he came to sit on hey, there he is. Where? Look, over there. Look, over to the left. And like they were losing their mind at just glimpsing him sit down.
I didn't recognize that nationality.
Well,
other side of the world.
Foreign.
Global.
International. It could be from anywhere.
Do we have the oddball clip here and I just learned before the show that, the Sun Sentinel reporter did not know that this was you. I just want to be clear.
Just play the
Is
clip,
he? He knew it was his.
All right, go ahead and play the clip.
You make show?
I do. I make a show, yes.
What's name show?
Oddball. Odd. Like strange, weird.
Odd.
Ball.
Oddball.
Ball.
Oddball.
Ball is life.
Art is life. Life is art.
I do a show with somebody called Amin El Hassan. Amin El Hassan.
Amin is a very good name. Amin. It means trust. Amin, trust.
Oh, okay.
Trust, yes.
In Amin we trust.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Hello.
Hello.
He's magical. Talk about Steph Curry being magical. Akbar is magical.
Was that Borat?
No, that's Akbar Domestique.
Just to be clear, I know he's got some French accessories.
I don't believe
not
he's French. I don't believe he's French.
I asked him a million times. He's not French.
Remember we had some guys from Congo.
That's right.
Approach him and
Jonathan Kuminga's cousin.
Jonathan Kuminga's cousin came up and tried to say what's
Jeremy,
up.
what happened to your friend? What happened to your friend from the Sun Sentinel?
Well, it seems like he wrote an article about, according to Amin, a very real artist that was out there trying to get a Jimmy Butler statue created. And if that artist wasn't real, then it might have been a bit mean-spirited to go unrecognized and fool a journalist.
Well, since Amin wasn't there, I'll explain what happened. Akbar and I were sitting there trying to get fans' votes on which Jimmy Butler statue pose we should pick, right? Because I told everybody, hey, things are going to ease off between the Heat, cool down between the Heat and Jimmy Butler, and they're going to put a statue up there. And so what were the options again? They were Jimmy Butler was tired.
So first of all, Akbar worked tirelessly on this. We should take a second to thank him for all of his work that he did pro bono, by the way. It doesn't until the statue actually gets made. He doesn't get paid.
He made all that money from the Sharon Stone statue.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Akbar.
Thank you, Akbar. Thank you, Akbar.
Domestique.
So Mr. Domestique came up with 5 different options.
Monsieur.
Well, no, he's not French.
Oh, my bad.
Let's be clear, Jess. I just said that.
Yikes. It's okay.
He's from Kazakhstan.
No, he's not.
It's confusing. It was
confusing?
as we said.
Wow, you guys are so jingoistic and nationals. Where are you from, boy? Where do you come from? What country?
Is that Dan?
That's what all of you sound
Wow.
like. Demanding to know his national
Was there
origin.
an ifin in there?
Do you want to see his papers too? How about that? Hey, Akbar, show us your papers, your passport. We want to see. Hey, what's your visa say, boy? Huh? You want to go ice up in here?
Classic Dan.
That would never.
I mean, it seems like maybe the guy that interviewed Akbar should have asked these questions to confirm he was a real person. That's usually what editors do when you do an interview with a random person on the street. And now I'm kind of like, I feel bad for this guy. He got fooled. At the same time, someone probably should have caught it. Someone should have Googled, is Akbar Domestique a real person?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Before they publish the story.
Google Jimmy Butler statue. Let me know what the number one the result is.
It's Akbar Domestique. Spoiler alert.
Number 1 on Google, baby.
Okay.
It's really hard to do this whole bit now because like half of us are. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm confused. Like when we started the show, is like
Oddball, Monday
we
through
want to talk about
Thursdays.
this thing that happened, but now we're like, this thing never actually happened because this was a real thing. And
Yeah, did somebody
I'm
get fooled or
lost.
not get fooled?
I'm lost in space right now.
Well, this is what happens with Oddball and when you start a show with no audio. Like, this is part of what it is that happens when you're trying to communicate with people and don't
Just
know.
like the Miami Heat
But
did last night.
Oddball is odd. And if you want to explain to the audience what it is that you guys were doing yesterday and what you did to a journalist with a clip that would show us what happened to that journalist, that would probably be the correct way to do this. But they're odd.
Well, I would say, first of all, watch Oddball to get the full segment. Number 2.
Not now, though.
Not
a little
now.
later. It's not out yet.
I know,
Number
but,
two-
but
number
our
two-
audience would like to understand what happened here.
What
and
happened
some
was-
of it's confusing.
It's not confusing.
Like,
I'll explain it.
Trust me when I tell you. Trust me when I tell you.
Let me give you the clip notes.
No, trust me when I tell you.
Well, I can
him.
explain
It's
it or
confusing.
I can explain it or not, right? Like, explain real quick. We wanted to get a Jimmy Butler statue commissioned. We had the artist out there. His name's Akbar Domestique. He sat out there with Izzy. Izzy was soliciting people to come give us their opinion which one was the best of the designs. One of the people who came up to us unsolicited was a reporter. We did not know from which outlet. He said, I'm a reporter. He identified himself as media. So Akbar granted an interview. He never does this, by the way.
Never.
So it was a
Never
real
does this.
artist then.
Akbar Domestique, yeah.
I don't know. Jessica thinks it's a bit.
Thank you for explaining it. It's not a bit.
There you go.
I don't understand if this, why did this reporter not see a camera crew around you
Well, no,
guys
not
with
only-
microphones on you?
Not
and
only did he see a camera
ask
crew around,
questions.
I had a microphone in the reporter's face. It was reporter inception. And he still didn't know what was going on. And so, yeah, next thing you know, there's a story in the Sun Sentinel.
But it's a real story.
It's a real story.
I'll move on.
So then we're
Google
fine,
statue.
right? The journalist did his job.
But this is the problem with the real story. Like, Jeremy's friend is the journalist who wrote this.
Who did a great job,
Congratulations.
apparently, writing about this real artist.
Is this a
Question
real
mark?
journalist? Or
It's a real journalist.
Oh.
And it might be fake news, but it's a real journalist.
Did they put out like a retraction or like a comment on this? Like, hey, we were duped?
Well, why would they have to do that? Apparently, Akbar Domestique is a real person.
There it is.
Right, Amin?
There's the lead is, does Jimmy Butler deserve a statue outside the Kaseya Center? Most Heat fans would likely say no, considering why the star's 5.5-year Miami tenure ended. But Akbar Domestique, an artist from Khartoum, Sudan, so that's where he's from, says yes, and he set up a tent outside the arena before Butler's return to Miami with the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday to advocate for the cause. Quote, Jimmy Butler, great Miami Heat player. He wins very much. He great things for the
You
organization.
don't have to do it in his voice.
Well, I
That's just a
didn't.
little
I
weird.
just read.
Okay.
I read in my.
By
voice.
the way, great reporting. Now we know where he's from. See, we should give this reporter some
not
standing
great.
ovation, maybe?
Not great reporting.
Not.
Great reporting overall.
Got to the bottom of something.
Well, I'm glad that Jessica is protecting journalism here. I genuinely am.
I'm not. I'm not. I think people listening probably are just so confused right now.
Yeah, this is incredibly
because
confusing.
I'm confused.
Is it
right
confusing?
now.
How about this? Let's do Q&A. We'll answer. We're the oddball representatives here. We'll answer any questions.
Q&A, Tony.
We're opening up the press conference. Cues? Any cues?
Yeah. How did the guy not know that there was a guy with a fake mustache and a beret in front of the stadium?
Well, the beret is a sartorial decision. I think a lot of people around the world will look at that and say that's a snazzy hat. Particularly the color scheme. Red for Miami Heat red.
Yes, brilliant.
Pretty
And the
nice.
scarf, too.
The scarf is matching. Little hints of black there as well, but mostly red as well.
Also heat colors.
Also
how about,
heat
How
colors.
about the fake mustache?
Well, the mustache is a little gaudy, but some people like to put in a little bit more product, a little bit more extra.
I'm sorry.
comb it out.
There are people every day that I see with fake eyelashes. So what's wrong with a little bit of an extra
Yeah, but fake
enhancement of your
mustache. There's more hair to the mustache than there is the eyebrow. Plus, I saw a little bit of the glue, I think, on the backside.
Well, look,
Nah,
first of
it was
all,
just-
shout out to my guy from White Lotus. Women have full frontal nudes all the time, and nobody cares. But when a guy does it, all of a sudden there's all sorts of questions.
Stone.
You saw he walked that back, right? He's like, I shouldn't have said that.
Well-
That's my bad.
I'm sure Akbar will walk it back one day too. Any other questions?
So the journalist,
Same guy,
I'm forgetting
okay.
his name, by the way.
Jeremy,
Respect to him.
Wait.
What's his name?
It's still confusing.
The journalist's name?
Barry? Was it Barry?
I don't know. It's in Barry.
Jeremy, your friend's name is what?
His name is Adam.
Adam, okay.
Adam. Okay.
So Adam got very close to Akbar.
Yes, he was.
Did he not
was
look at his lookbook, right?
As close.
Yep.
Yeah, showed the lookbook as close to me and Dan right now.
I have a question. Amin, are you embarrassed that no one recognized you, considering that just looks like you but has sunglasses and a beret?
Was Amin there?
I was in the vicinity.
I mean, how are we
Jessica,
supposed to
no,
do this show,
no,
Dan?
No, but that's Billy right there. That's what a wild Billy Wednesday is. You were trying. Yeah, what do you mean? What do I mean? See,
I was trying to get to the bottom of this, and we're pretending this artist really exists.
I cannot
Billy,
believe this
thank
is what
you.
we're doing and not talking about
Sometimes
Jimmy
it's
Butler
and
not
sometimes
showing
it's
up
not.
Jessica.
for that game.
Billy,
Jessica,
thank you.
Jessica, that was Billy simply doing the show for just you there. He wasn't doing it for anyone else there.
No, he's doing this for the millions of people sitting at home right now that are like, what the hell are they talking about?
So check out
Talk about Akbar
Oddball.
Domestique.
Check out Oddball. It's a bit of a mystery, and that's the reason that you should listen to it. I'm guessing, though, that many people would like to hear your serious basketball analysis on a dumb night that did not live up to anything but allowed us to do the thing that we love to do more than anything in sports, which is just gossip about whether people like each other or not.
Didn't live up to anything.
And how much do they dislike each other? And how much disrespect was there?
And what's wrong with that? I mean, what do we do? What do we watch all day on TV? It's just that drama. And I think after 5.5 years of them being together, to go from even the fake platitudes and the fake niceness and just, hey, that's my teammates, those are my boys, to just absolute nothing, like that has to be a falling off, like one of the worst you've ever seen in the NBA. Like I even like Kobe Shaq wasn't even. I mean, I know it was bad, but people figured, hey, they'll get over it. This one, it just feels like this is just the end of any relationship he could possibly have. And he said he didn't want to burn any bridges with the organization. He seems like he has.
I think so. We keep bringing up Kobe Shaq. I know we have to consider the source, but according to Shaq, it was all marketing. Like Shaq, took something that was real and inflated it for the sake of theatrics. Shaq is a master of this, of going in there and taking something and making it way larger than it really is, just out of sheer entertainment of himself.
Man, I think that's some revisionist history from a guy who's in the tank for Shaq. Like Shaq was on Shaq.
Wow. Hold on.
The big fella.
Akbar is?
I don't remember beating a drum at Shaq's games. Like, hey, Diesel.
Look, but Shaq was on a stage in a New York nightclub singing, "Hey, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes."
Yeah, it was funny.
No, come on.
He's being funny.
By the way, comparing this to Kobe versus Shaq is the most insane thing that's happened this entire segment.
You're welcome. I mean, it is the relationship that ended. It's not like it's dissimilar, but I think the best part about this to me was all the pettiness from the Heat. It was not just not talking to him. I think Alec Burks might get in trouble, by the way, because he actually did go.
The only guys who Jimmy spoke to last night were Kevin Love, Terry Rozier, and Alec Burks. If that doesn't show you
That's his guys.
everything about Jimmy, I don't know what does.
Shout out to K-Love. K-Love said he posted the clip before the game.
I don't got a problem with these guys. My beef's not with them, never will be. But I'm not going to go acknowledge them. I'm not going to look in their direction. I'm not going to speak with them. It was I could not believe
with former
the way
teammates.
that all
Can
ended.
I ask you, did you see Bam and Tyler going Jimmy, wait.
Who's the one that left?
I'm just saying. You're saying he didn't say what's up. It's like when people say, you didn't call me. MFer, you didn't call me either. What are we doing? It's only on me to call you? I got to be the one to pick up the phone. But if you don't pick up the phone, I never give you any problem.
But he did call people. He called Kevin Love and Terry Rozier.
But the relationship didn't end when he left. The relationship was over
Before.
while they were here.
Yeah.
So they don't. I mean, they're not happy with Jimmy as well.
I'm just saying, I don't know if they had done I've seen it before. It's happened to me where I went and reached my hand out to shake hands with someone that I'd had a strained relationship with, and they looked at my hand and walked away, and I just stood there with my hand out, and I looked at everybody around like, see, I tried. I reached out. They didn't do anything. That's not what happened.
No, you're right.
Look, I'm not saying Jimmy's an angel. I'm just saying, poor Bam. He didn't even say hello. He didn't look at him. Neither did he.
Yeah, one guy showed up for the game and the other didn't.
It also feels like if this score was opposite, Jimmy would have been center court waiting
That's
to
exactly
say
right.
He would have been there. Where's Bam? Let me
That's
give him a hug. Where's
exactly
Tyler? Let me
right.
pat him on the ass.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You think he would have said all the glowing things he said after the game if he would have won? He had to get his butt kicked by the team to be able to go say anything nice. Look, man, there are some guys when the lights are on national TV that show up for big games, and other guys don't. And Jimmy's just not one of those guys. He just doesn't show up when the lights are on.
This is fake, right? This is acting.
He's wearing glasses. I mean,
Yeah. You need a mustache?
We get Akbar in here. Should we get Akbar?
Is this where we're at?
Can we call
in terms of
should we
Heat
call
culture?
Akbar?
Like we're celebrating getting to 10 games under 500. Like this is where we're at gloating.
I'm
ashamed. I'm ashamed of
It's
my
a
fellow
fun
Heat
night.
fans, to be honest.
You know what I'll
with
say? I will say, and this will be the most embarrassing thing that I say. I was so proud watching Heat fans last night know to boo every time Jimmy touched the ball. Because before the game, I was talking to other people in the media and saying, like, the most passionate of fan bases would know, right? Oh, it's cheers and boos during the intro, and then every time that guy touches the ball, you boo him. That's what happens, right? And I honestly did not expect it. I didn't expect it from the crowd. And then it happened. There was a guy heckling him, and he got a 5-second violation. You couldn't have drawn that night up better
Jessica,
in a lab
you
for
speak-
the worst of people like me.
You speak for all of us, Jessica.
I can't speak.
It's embarrassing. I know it's embarrassing. I don't care.
Well, that's okay, and I understand that you don't care. But I legitimately left yesterday's show thinking to myself, and not knowing the answer because the Heat were coming off of a 10-game losing streak. I wanted to ask you guys, like, which is harder to do in that league, winning 10 straight or losing 10 straight?
I promise you losing 10 straight ain't that hard.
Well, I mean, Cleveland's won 10 straight 3 times, like 10 straight losses for the Heat. It's confusing to me where we've lived for 15 years that makes everyone crazy around here and makes Jessica put her head in her hands when Jeremy does what Heat fans do.
It was just fun watching Jimmy stand in the corner during a regular season game and it not affecting the Heat in a negative way.
Okay, and so Heat homer Jeremy has this to say about Miami fans. It was great for them to be knowledgeable enough to know to boo Jimmy every time he touched the ball. And then there's Steve Kerr saying this of Miami fans.
I didn't know what was going on pregame because there was a video with no sound. So I was wondering what was happening. Miami is it's a great place to live, and so people don't ever seem too amped up around here. They're living the good life. So it really wasn't that rabid of an environment. It was typical Miami.
So
I mean, hold on. I mean, respectfully to Steve Kerr. He does a great job. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's key.
Nobody in Miami's amped up. Brother, have you been to like Ayaocho during traffic, during prime time, 5 o'clock rush hour? Please.
That was the strangest part of the whole night because as the beginning of this show had no sound, as soon as you're supposed to hit the music, they played this one part, and it was like, I think it's this part of Eminem, right, where it's just like, it's the return of, just kidding. Yeah. And I was like, wait a second, that seems like a shot at Jimmy Butler, but it was like the Vice jersey thing, right? So that was the beginning of that one, and then the music just didn't play. The video was playing, but no music.
there was a popping sound that happened,
Yes.
and I thought, oh, they got fireworks, but then there was no firework, and then the intro video plays exactly like how we started the show today. I would say that we were doing meta stuff, and I'm not blaming the video department. I'm saying the video department was Johnny on the
It was
spot.
a tribute.
Because they played the intro video to complete silence, and it took like a strong 5 or 6 seconds before like the game ops people were like, start a chant or something.
People started
And said,
chanting,
let's
"Let's
go
go,
Heat.
Heat."
And then that like it died. It couldn't. I was like, wow, if they can carry this throughout the entire video, that'll be an insane environment.
It didn't.
TNT will love it. And then like three goes into let's go Heat. Let's go Heat.
It was a feeling of, Jimmy Butler's gone and everything goes to
The energy was so weird to start yesterday's game because you had like the mixed cheers and boos, right, during the intro video. Then you have the Heat's intro video where the sound goes out and the speakers go out. Then a minute into the game, Draymond Green is hurt and laying on the ground and you're wondering what's going to happen. Then not 2 minutes later, Jimmy Butler himself has a 5-second violation where there's a fan behind him yelling, "You're a bum." Then
Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins immediately gets an 8-second violation after that. Then there's a backcourt violation. Then there's back-to-back 24-second violations by the Warriors. It was like, and that was all in the first 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
It was one of the strangest starts to a basketball game, including Jimmy Butler having 2 points at the half.
I'd like to explain for 1 second. Everyone's like, it was mixed cheers and boos. At first, I was like, wow, so there are a lot of Heat fans that are still happy about Jimmy. Then I realized, oh, no. That's just the Warriors fans because
right.
40% of the building had Steph Curry jerseys on. That's the thing that I think people are missing. You guys are thinking the Miami crowd was split. No, they weren't. It was just a bunch of Warriors
I'm
fans.
surprised that you're surprised by this. So last night, the Golden State starters, did they have 10 points by the half? The 5 of them? The starters.
Oh, it was insane.
No.
I mean, their starting lineup got dominated, and Jimmy was basically taken out of the game from the jump. Like, Bam Adebayo shut him down last night.
I would say
he just did.
I would say that Jimmy did. Like, I've seen people who are trying to force the issue. I got to prove a point tonight. He did the opposite.
Yeah, he didn't show up.
He seemed very passive.
Okay,
Yeah, he didn't show up.
Very passive.
Okay, but can we just examine? Look, I don't want to talk about this any more
Basketball?
than Jessica does anymore.
Wait, hold on. But no, time out. Let me stop you there. You and Jessica. I'm sorry. What the hell did you guys think today's show was about to be about? Golf?
Thank you.
Tennis?
This has been
Like,
what
what
Boiler
do y'all
Wednesday.
think was gonna be
Thank
about?
you.
You're not here every week. This is what every show has been about for years.
This is
touche.
literally
This is
the
touche.
last
Today.
day that we could do.
It's literally
Pete
the
and
last
Jimmy.
one.
And it
This
won't
is
be.
it.
And it won't
No,
be.
it will be. It will
not
be. This is
be.
it.
And
They're not
Dan
going to face
saying-
each other in the finals.
Dan saying, I don't want to talk about this is the funniest thing that has ever been uttered on the show.
Yesterday, also, by the way, we were talking about should the Heat be tanking for the lottery.
They should,
So,
by
like,
the way.
now
They
the
still
question is, you had your NBA Finals
Butler.
today.
Making sure
Or
they're
like-
not tanking. Maybe he tanked the game.
Meta.
You know what? Maybe that is what happened. Is Jimmy didn't want them to get a higher pick. But we were talking about
Chess.
yesterday, should the Heat tank for the lottery? So now that the Heat won their championship last night, the Jimmy Butler revenge game, are we now back to tanking with this Heat team?
Sagging for a flagging? Is
I
that how it
don't know
goes?
if it's a serious conversation, but look at the standings. There's just no chance.
Pooper for Cooper?
Like, they're stuck in this play in purgatory. They can't. I don't even think they can move into 7 and 8. They're just in that 9-10 land right now.
Bailing for Bailey?
You know what? I'll let you guys have today if you can promise me you will not say the name. This is for Jeremy and Dan. You will not say the name Jimmy Butler for the rest of the NBA season.
Can you do that, Dan?
I got to figure out what I got to trade Jessica for that.
Oh, that's
Like,
a good
there's
boy.
gotta
Look
be-
at
I- there's
I mean,
gotta
the
be-
Warriors are
there's
gonna be
gotta a
relevant.
negotiation. I'm not
Yeah.
going to just.
Just
I'm
to
not
say a
talk
week.
basketball.
Just say a week. A week is going to be hard enough. Like a week.
I
You're
will,
a bad negotiator.
I will figure out what it is. Let me think about it. I want it to be a thread throughout the show, and at the end, we will make a bet on whatever it is that is, so that don't let me forget. I want to have stakes on this because I also want stakes on yesterday's bet where there was an oral commitment there. Billy said for a raise he'd have another kid, so we've got a
What?
deal.
Get on that.
Get on that. He might have last night. I don't know.
Hey.
Oral commitment.
Be respectful.
Oral commitment.
I'm sorry, what?
Can't have a kid that way.
Be respectful.
You and me have made a deal. Everyone heard it. Everyone.
Well, if I have a child.
That's right. Well,
Oh, have confidence
but
in
you
yourself,
can.
man.
If you have a child, you can
Yeah, if I
have
have
a
a chi-
raise.
if I
We
have a
made a
child.
deal. I want there to be a huge.
I don't think that this is binding in any sense of the word
It's
whatsoever.
the words being spoken right now are an oral
No.
commitment.
Any
Any,
contract is binding.
Oral
in the state of
commitments
Florida.
are not. They're oral commitments.
you're backing down.
No, I'm just saying.
He's scared, Dan, is what it is. You put the money up, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
It
But
was-
how
it
much
was
money
his-
are we talking? Like,
That's a
let's
good
negotiate,
question.
Billy.
It's a good question.
Well,
What
I
if
just
it's
had
like
a kid, so
$1 million
me and you
bucks?
could talk after, right?
Oral commitments.
And what if you have a fake baby,
Wow. A baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
baby.
but
Got a
you get the
mustache
$1 million?
for
Adoption.
Like, let's work this thing out.
Let's
a little
figure
bit.
out
Adam will
what
interview.
let's figure out what the consequences are.
Kid's gonna have
on
to be
that
named
bet.
Cash, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be willing to make the bet of no. It's just the name Jimmy Butler, correct? Just the name.
Nope, yeah, I already lost.
I'm not. I'm not
Bad
lost.
start. That's why I said a week,
It's
Jeff.
not just the
negotiations
name;
are-
it's that you just can't talk about him.
Problem
you
is,
can't say his name, but you also can't. Talk
ooh,
about
I have an idea for this bet, and I'm just if we're figuring out bets. If Dan wins, you have to wear a costume of some sort. If Jess wins, Dan can't wear a costume for a year.
Oh, that would
Oh,
kill
wow.
him. That would
Or-
kill him.
or
Billy.
Wow.
You know
You've
what's
cut 'em deep on
frustrating
that one.
about this? I was undefeated last year.
In what?
Undefeated. It's the reason I didn't wear a costume all year. I was undefeated at the grid of death. I went every single week and never lost a
Sounds
game.
like you were
And
cheating.
hated it.
How about if he loses, he shaves the beard?
Oh.
And if she loses, Jess has to grow a beard.
Oh.
I've got a mustache for
Not
that.
a bad trade because I can't grow a beard. So
You could wear Amin's
Nothing will change.
ridiculous beard.
Akbar.
apparently
Oh,
that was
really?
not
Yeah,
a mean. So now we're back to square
who was
one.
that?
Beard is mine. What are you talking about?
Akbar.
Well, the way the show should have started, I saw in preview the clip of Jeremy's friend being fooled by Akbar, and I just am curious where we are with journalism, because Jessica asked, where are the editors here? And the answer to your question, Jessica, is WPLG in Miami closes down with ABC after 80 years and has to go totally local, is there are no editors anymore. We can't pay anybody anymore, so Greg Cody has to write his own headlines on his own stories because the editors are being all chewed up and bad things are getting into newspapers. And hey,
I thought Akbar was quoted warmly and accurately.
Well, also, like, that story, so ABC is still going to exist, but WSVN now is going to have Fox and ABC on their, like, second channel. And then WPLG announced that they are focusing on journalism, and they're reinvesting all of the money that they were going to be asking for to get the ABC license into local journalism. And they're going to do more local journalistic shows, and they're going to have longer news days in the morning, and they're going to have different programming that's specific for local because they thought that ABC was asking for too much, I believe.
Billy,
is what
hold
happened
on.
there.
Are you PR for WPLG?
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
what's going on?
saying.
He's got it right.
Well,
He's got
I
We're
read
shocked
heaven
by
forbid,
Billy
I read a
having it right.
story before we talked about it.
So journalism, yeah.
The guy that runs the network doubled down on his commitment to local journalism and covering local stories. So it's not a situation where the network is folding.
Oh, okay.
Billy, let's bring back Sports Bang. Sell it to them. Local journalists, Billy Gill, Tony Gladiator, all of a sudden take on sports.
Wait, who is the second person that's doing this?
Me and you.
All of a sudden,
Me and you.
all of a sudden
Pass.
take on sports.
Pass.
I love that idea. It's like they've been covering like politics and like Wall Street, and all of a sudden we're gonna take on sports.
Yeah.
With Sports Bang.
We both wear like suits.
Well, beat Jim Barry. Jim Barry keeps jumping back and forth between sports and news. Why
he can
can't
be the
we?
third. He can be the third guy.
Ooh, I like that.
Me, you, and JB.
Okay.
Roy must be wounded in the history of WPLG. That's 79 years.
Dwight Lauderdale.
I mean,
Yeah, and
that's,
Bishop.
That's what, I mean, they taught me about news. Like, that was television news when we were growing up. And then ABC comes in and says, no, it's going to be network. And yes, they're trying at Channel 10 to do something that is a special thing where they take care of local news. But to answer Jessica's question, there are no editors. There's not money for editors. There are like 5 newspapers in the country that can afford editors.
Also mentioned in the announcement, they will still have Wheel of Fortune. So
great.
don't be
Yeah.
worried about that.
Jeopardy?
Good lead-in for us.
I think Jeopardy too.
Excellent.
And Kelly and Mark, or whatever the Kelly show is called
I
now.
never really liked Wheel of Fortune that much.
Really?
It's fine. It's just like I think Jeopardy is so much better.
I haven't seen any of the Seacrest episodes.
Yeah, me neither.
Not a one.
I guess that sort of we agree then.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of 10, when's the last time you saw number 10 Jimmy Butler show up for a big game, huh?
Oh boy.
I
Lights
don't
are on,
think
he
Dan's allowed
shrinks.
to talk about that.
He's got his boys in matching
I
joy
don't-
shirts
I
on.
don't-
Come
How
on,
has
sideline.
Izzy already ended my negotiations?
Beard's coming off.
I'm sure David Samson has a lot of opinions about what he would have done or not done as part of a tribute to a player that soon I will not be able to name, because, Jessica, I'm going to make this bet with you before the end of the show. The stakes will be, and I will agree to the terms, I will not talk about this anymore, no matter who brings it up or how they bring it up. I will abstain, but in exchange for that, there has to be something of equal measure that you're giving me.
I'll think about it.
You keep saying steaks, so
I know,
think
but
he's
can it
trying
be
to-
actual steaks?
That's what
Can
I'm
that be
saying.
part
I
of
think
it?
that's what he was angling at.
No,
Delicious.
It can't
Can you eat
be
steak?
actually steaks. No, it can't.
Either
Tuna
one
steak?
of you.
You can eat steak.
You can have a tuna steak, right?
No, I can have fish and stuff. I
okay,
can
tuna
have
steak.
chicken, but
Churrasco you can't have?
no steak.
Why?
Just can't have it. It
got-
reacts badly with my body. What do you want? What do you ask?
You new here? What's up?
What do you?
How long have you been here, Billy? Come on.
I'll go through the list if you want. I can't have paprika. Like, we could do that. You'd like that for
That
me to
hurts,
do
man.
that for 3 hours.
I just want to get to David. I never thought I'd say that. Hey, David.
Billy, it's baseball season, baby.
It is. It starts tomorrow. I have a fantasy draft tonight. 9 o'clock is very late for a fantasy draft. Baseball fantasy drafts are like 24 rounds. I don't like this one bit, but I have to do it.
I need to know who is your first pick, because there are a lot of players that people may not be focused on because of your inside information. You may be able to get somebody really good.
It's a good question. So my league, no one cares about this, so we got to get through this very quickly. So my league, each team gets 4 keepers. So I need to kind of go through the list of the keepers and even see who's available. It's a whole thing, and somehow it always sneaks up on me. So I need to cram after the show today. So we'll see.
So I'll give you a spoiler alert.
Oh.
The first pick should always be Jimmy Butler. That's right, Billy. You didn't think that I was not listening to the start of the show, to the entire first segment, where your guys are talking incessantly about Butler and the ridiculousness of that video. There's no way Pat Riley should have approved. You weren't talking about that, were you?
What kind of segue was that when you guys were doing baseball? Was that you trying to just talk about what you wanted to talk about? Because he was trying to talk baseball in his fantasy league with you, and you decided to make it about the subject we agreed we weren't going to talk about anymore right now.
Yeah, because that was Billy saying, David, and I got a text here offline, which no one's supposed to know about. Hey, we only have a second to talk about baseball. We got to talk about Butler. So that's why I want to do that. It was very important to me to get to Jimmy. I actually talked about it in my MLB preview show on Nothing Personal, which I don't have a clip for you to show, which I wish I had, but I don't. But I did a whole preview of the season, but I did work in the craziness of the decision of whether or not you do a video, who approves that, how it works, because we have that kind of stuff all the time, Dan.
So what would you have done?
Oh, because of the way he left, there's no video. We would not have even told the umpire to pause the game at the first at-bat of that player if that player came back to have an at-bat against us, because normally you have to get permission from the umpire, actually, in order to pause the game for the player to step out, tip the cap, get the ovation from the 749 people there. So we don't do that. We wouldn't have done that for a player who left in that way.
I mean, that's being an ass, though, right? Everybody would have noticed that, and it would have inflamed the entire situation. Like, is this not a part? I mean, I don't even say this to mock you. The Miami Heat as an organization, they try to represent class. I don't know that that's something that you guys were. I
resent the implication, Dan. That listen, we did not honor Bobby Cox because Bobby Cox said things that were against our organization. I'm sure it's somewhere that you can look up. It became a big deal, but we stuck to our principles that if you're going to be critical of us, we're not going to open a window for you to be celebrated. So I don't think that it's about class. It's about accountability, which is a concept that I wish more people understood. You can't act like Jimmy acted and expect that it's going to be butterflies and unicorns when you come back. It should be you're an enemy on the different team. See you later. You're welcome. I would have liked a full-page ad in the paper from Jimmy thanking Pat Riley for allowing him to get paid this season, because I would have suspended him the rest of the year, or if the union made me, I would have sat him at the end of the bench for the rest of the year.
I think, David, the issue here is it's not about Jimmy Butler. It's what you project to the rest of basketball. And for them, I think they did the right thing. This is you might be angry about things someone has said and done. And yes, internally you might be, go F yourself, but you say the thing that causes the least amount of waves. In the same way that, David, you said that when the Panthers won the Stanley Cup, if you had been the Marlins, you guys would have been MFing like, damn. But externally you say, congratulations to the Panthers. Why? Is it because you owe anything to them? No. It's because you want to project that, hey, we are a place that does it right even when we have been wronged. And that is what you want carrying forward, not those are the petty guys that hate when the other team across town won their championship.
Yeah, I would do that for a team in my city, absolutely, but that has nothing to do with rewarding player empowerment or rewarding what Jimmy Butler did to get himself out of Miami. You're comparing apples to peanuts.
No, I'm not. I'm saying to you, what's the reward? Just like what's the harm in saying congratulations over there? What's the reward in not doing a 30-second, if that, video that wasn't, I mean, it was kind of toothless, to be honest with you, but they did the bare minimum so that no one can ever say, oh, you petty MFers, you guys didn't do anything when this guy came back, which is, again, it's not about Jimmy Butler. It's about every future free agent, every future player, star player who'd want to come here. They don't want to have the feeling that, hey, man, if I ever force my way out or have to force my way out, they're going to bury me too. That's what it's about.
Let's go to an alternate universe, Amin, and let's go to the universe where there was no video. Mm-hmm. Are you spending the first 40 minutes of the show talking about the fact that the Heat are a classless organization for not honoring Jimmy Butler with a video, and then imagining that it would have been, whether it was a great 1-minute video with sound or whether it was an ordinary video. Is that what your position would have been had there been none?
If there had been no video, it absolutely would have been the A1 topic of, oh my God, they didn't even play the video. And I'm going to tell you what, David, yesterday they did the intros, a guard from Moses Moody, a blah, 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 forward from Michigan State, Draymond Green. And then after 4, I was like waiting for the guys just to say, and number 10, Jimmy Butler. I thought they were going to do that, and that was it. And then there was a silence, and I was like, holy shit, are they just going to announce 4 guys and then move on to the home team? I literally thought that's what they were going with, because that video took a delay, Jeremy. Back me up.
It did. No, there was
while.
like a 3-second delay that felt like
an eternity.
Because like, you were wondering what's going to happen right now.
And had they gone directly from 4 guys, all right, now we're going to start talking about the Heat. Absolutely, that would have been A1 not only for our show, but every sports show across the country.
This will make Dan crazy, but I want to mention the name John Condon. John Condon was a very famous announcer at Madison Square Garden. And when a former player would come back, he would announce, and he was an amazing announcer. And when a player would come back, and number 4, Jimmy Butler. And it would just be in sort of a matter of fact, get the job done, you've got to announce the starting
David,
lineup.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know John Condon. You, sir, are no John Condon fan. Because when Patrick Ewing came back as a Seattle Sonic, they announced, and number 33, Patrick Ewing. He did that.
Because it was, hold on. Are you comparing Patrick Ewing? He did not talk his way out of New York. That was what New York chose.
The hell he didn't. That's the reason why they traded him. David, this is my wheelhouse now. This is my wheelhouse. Patrick Ewing was like, pay me $1 gajillion. The Knicks were like, you're 100 years old and you just broke your wrist and you tore your Achilles and did all these things. We don't want to do that. So then he said, well, then trade me. And then he ends up getting traded to Seattle in a 3-way deal that sends Glenn Rice from the Lakers to the Knicks.
It was one of the worst trades in the history of the Knicks. The fact that they took back assets for that when they just could have let him go. He just didn't want to be let go, so the Knicks moved him. But without debating Patrick Ewing, we're talking about how the Knicks handled his return. He did not leave in a blaze of hatred and rancor when it came to his relationship with the public and with the Knicks the way Jimmy did. Jimmy had been suspended, I can't remember, is it twice or 3 times during the course of this season alone?
Yes,
it was not like that with Patrick.
But that was a Miami Heat decision, right? Miami Heat took and I'm not saying it was the right decision or the wrong decision. I'm just saying it's very, very rare the path that they took, not only to suspend him, but then to choose to fine him through the rules of the CBA at the higher fine amount than what is a typical suspension. So that was more about the Heat, behaving in a way that was unorthodox in the situation than about Jimmy Butler doing something that was highly unheard of.
You can't say something's unorthodox, actually, when it's in the 4 corners of a CBA. You know that.
No,
you have to operate within those confines.
No, I know.
So
but
it's actually
don't
bargain.
Don't play verbal gymnastics with me. When I say unorthodox, you know what I mean. I'm not saying they went outside of the rules of the CBA. I'm saying they took a path that is least taken among teams who are faced with that kind of situation, which happens yearly in our league. Nobody takes the path that they took, but they took it. It was well within their right to, but we all know that's not a recourse. In the same way that, David, if you took my sandwich out of the fridge, I could call the cops and say theft. And it would be within my right to say this guy stole my lunch, even though it had my name on it, even though we know that most people are just grown up enough to handle it without turning it into a 911 call.
It would be petty larceny at best, unless you got this amazing sandwich from the deli.
That's my point, David.
What Jimmy Butler did was grand theft auto.
Oh man,
it's not just that he missed a plane.
GTA.
This was a pattern of behavior over the course of years. Even when they were winning, you had a Heat organization that couldn't stand him.
You're playing a semantics game right now. I'm telling you that a lot of the rancor, there was a good amount of rancor that was created by how the Heat reacted to the situation. And I'm not saying that they were wrong to do that. I'm just saying it's part of the pie that was baked. And so when you talk about, hey, Patrick Ewing or John Condon never does that. I'm like, we did it for Patrick Ewing. We're like, well, Patrick Ewing didn't leave in bad terms. Yes, he did. It wasn't cuddly. It was like, guys, it was great. Hey, we got you too, Patrick. Have fun. It wasn't like that. Both sides were kind of hurt because the Knicks wanted him to retire Nick, and he was like, I want to get paid. And he ended up leaving as a result. And so, but yet, when he came back, they did not say, F that guy. Who the hell does he think he is that he should get paid? You know what? Just say his name regular, John. He didn't do that. Because it doesn't take much to just do the thing so everyone gives a nice golf clap. And then if you want to boo every time he touches it after that, you're well within your right.
No one booed Patrick Ewing when he touched the ball. As a member of any team, he was celebrated every single time. It's just a bad example. I do know there are players that we could have mentioned. You could have mentioned a Latrell Sprewell as an example, but Patrick Ewing to me was just a bad example.
We seem to have dueling wheelhouses here, and I'd like to get to the bottom of it. I'd like to see who's got the better wheelhouse here between Amin and David Samson. And even though it's not the most current thing to talk about today, who's got it right when it came to Patrick Ewing? Is it Amin, who knows his basketball history, or is it David Samson, who was a heckler at one time, who would sit in the stands and legitimately heckle Knicks basketball team?
And they booed Patrick Ewing while he was a Knick, by the way. So
I would never heckle the Knicks. That's incorrect, actually. I would only heckle the road teams because I was lucky enough to sit 2 rows behind the owners of every team that came into the Garden, and it was about 20 feet from the visitors' bench. So Charles Barkley's given me the finger and threatened to fight me, and it was a whole part of my life. It was a Robin, oh God, I'm having a moment on live TV.
Robin
I was going to say Robin Thicker.
Thicker with an F.
Thicker.
You know why I knew that? Because it's my wheelhouse.
I think he's going to out-wheelhouse you here.
He got him there.
I think he's going to out-wheelhouse you here. Samson, I think you've met your match here. Like, whatever you think you know here, you don't know.
This is hallowed ground right here. Like, you want to talk about the World Cup or something else, like, the cricket? Well, okay, I'll concede. I'll capitulate.
80s and 90s NBA, that's my wheelhouse. That's before I was ever in the sports business. I was so deep into the NBA that I can talk about Larry Demick all night long, Lionel Richie.
Please don't.
Toby
Please
Knight.
don't.
I can do whatever you want,
no.
but you don't accuse me of not having an NBA wheelhouse.
What I'm accusing both of you of here, because it feels like you guys are misremembering a whole lot of things. The money got in Patrick Ewing's way as well. The endings on these things they're hardly ever what you want them to be. Like it is so very hard to break up with an aging superstar.
Dan, you know what this is like? This is like the Seinfeld episode where he had the perfect breakup and no one believed him. Like, what? No, that doesn't happen. Like, no, we really both looked at each other.
We're just friends.
Yeah, we're just friends. Like,
This is nothing like a Seinfeld episode.
Isn't it?
It actually is.
Is it?
This episode, at least.
Boom, ba-dum, bum, bum.
You guys notice that a record number of college players entered the transfer portal yesterday?
Entered what?
The what?
Transfer portal.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's a true story, Billy. What a crazy thing that they have the portal open during the tournament when we should be focusing on the Sweet 16. And you all got what you want. You wanted players to get paid. You wanted them to be in the union. Now 700 plus of them go into the portal. It's crazy.
You and Skipper were arguing about this, and it seemed like one of the best arguments I've seen between you two, because you do a great job on the Sporting Class with Pablo Torre and John Skipper talking about sports business. And he said something that got aggregated, which is that March Madness and all this stuff can go to pay-per-view, and you can stop NIL entirely, the entire mess of free market capitalism. Not surprising that he would want some governance over that. I was surprised to hear you say, "No, freedom for everybody."
Well, that's actually always been my position, Dan. I'm the one who fought with the union in baseball. I wanted players to get free agency immediately and have it every single year. And now a player in baseball, they have to be with the team for 6 years before they get free agency. And the union would never agree to it because they thought that players wouldn't be able to earn their pay each year. And you'd be actually losing money as a player to do that. And I was willing to say always be free. And that's what college players are. They are free agents. Even when they sign long-term NIL deals, if they're not paid or there's any way to get into the portal, which there is, they just go to the next highest bidder. And what Skipper was saying is What he wants is just a super conference. He wants Yankees, Red Sox every day, every game on national television. He wants North Carolina Duke every game, every round of every series, and every round of the NCAA tournament. And to me, one of the exciting things are the upsets. And what he countered with is that an upset would be anybody who's not favored. If it's North Carolina Duke and North Carolina is favored by 5 and Duke wins, that's an upset that would make fans happy. And I just had a fundamental disagreement. It's really fun to root for the underdog during these tournaments.
David, I have to agree with you. I think someone did this years ago, I think it was 10 years ago, but what is the perfect formula for March Madness? And the perfect formula is first couple of days, upsets. We get to Sweet 16. I want to say you want 2 or 3 Cinderellas. By the Elite Eight, maybe 1. By Final Four, you want 4 Blue Bloods. So there is an element. You need that little bit of people like, wow, St. Mary's really making a run. But by the time we get to the end, we don't want any of those Cinderellas.
The numbers are good on this tournament. Everybody wants the action. It's uniforms running up and down, and it's all a lot of fun. But when you're talking about some of the stuff that you guys are talking about, which is the business of this, that keeps becoming more and more expensive with streaming and more isolated, the solution, fragmented, I should say. When John Skipper says the solution is stop what you're doing now and make it something that is pay-per-view and have it be something that is more organized as a made-for-television event.
His quote specifically was, why wouldn't you create 4 super conferences, 64 teams, and that's your governing body? Who else has a governing body which is an independent third party? Why don't 4 college conferences go, hey, we're going to do our own basketball tournament, 64 teams. We'll sell that for $1.5 billion, and we'll divide that amongst our schools, and will further separate the haves from the have-nots.
It is shocking to me what a socialist capitalist he is pretending to be in that instance. And that was part of what we talked about on the sporting class, was that it's hard to have it both ways the way he wants it. So I hear that quote, and I heard it live, Jeremy, and I just tried to push back a little bit and talk about a world where that exists, because wouldn't you look at the U.S. and argue that there's a world where it's a really few number of haves and a real big number of have-nots? And how is it that you are coming to grips with that? And he's suggesting that there is a college basketball formula and football and professional sports formula where you are focused solely on the haves.
Well, when you ask how does that working out, for the haves, it's working out great in this country, right? They're rich people are richer than they've ever been before. But I want to ask you, David, did you ever watch the documentary on Apple TV or Apple Plus about the Super League in Europe, about how they try to create a Super League because American businessmen came in and said, hey, Chelsea, hey, Man U, why are you guys like in this UEFA thing? Make your own thing, keep all the money. And then what ended up happening was the grassroots fandom was so upset by this massive departure from what was tradition that they upended the whole thing. It ruined the business deal, and everyone got scared and backed out.
That would have been a great business deal was ruined by you can't do that to the customer.
Right.
It can't be that. The greed and the capitalism can't be that overt. That was the line.
Right. But at the time, I remember watching, and I'm like, yeah, of course in Europe, because they stick to their standards or traditions way more than we do here. We are much more malleable people. That's why we have a lot more convenient things here than in Europe. But having said that, I wonder if this would have been the line, David. Do you think the people would have risen up and said, no, I'm a Duke fan. I'm a North Carolina fan. I don't want to go to this weird Super League thing. I want to I want to watch Wolford have a chance to kind of play one of us.
So what's interesting about that, and yes, of course, I've seen it and covered it. What fascinated, do you remember who led that? It was led by the American owners of EPL teams who were trying to do things like John Henry couldn't do as owner of the Red Sox because he doesn't have the votes, because he would do it right now today. He would create a Super League in Major League Baseball. And would he do it with his Penguins? Wait to see. But in terms of baseball, that's what he's wanted. Except when he owned the Marlins, why would I pay money for teams to beat me when I can just keep paying the teams around me who are as big as I am, and we can keep a bigger share of the money? And what we used to say to him, John, what happened to you? I can't believe how you've changed given what you now own versus what you did. But do you think that your revenue would be the same if your schedule was that you played the Yankees, Dodgers, and Cubs 50 times each in a 150-game season. So the argument has always been that you need to have a full league. And what John Skipper was saying was sort of an amalgam of the concept, which is keep it at 64 teams, but forget these automatic bids from these ridiculous conferences that no one's ever heard of. Forget Yale having an opportunity to beat Texas A&M in the first round. Just keep it to the 4 main conferences. So then what happens, Amin, is the ACC and Big East say, here's an idea. Why don't we merge? This was Dan Hurley thinking about this, talking to Coach K. Let's form a 29-team conference and see if we can't be the big man on campus. And so where everybody is simply going to is they want the lion's share of the money the year in which they deserve it, and they don't think about the years in which they stink.
So
that's how this happens.
It's been 1 year, okay? It's a super small sample size. But chalk won, and it was not madness. It wasn't what it usually is for buzzer beaters and upsets and everything else. 12 over a 5 is not any kind of rare. It often happens. So there weren't any stunners. And Jay Williams says that NIL has ended the Cinderella based on this year. That seems to me like that wouldn't have any tethers to truth. It's a one sample size situation. But is there a chance that this keeps happening this way because of money differences in the sport? Like what? It seems like an overreaction that he's saying this 1 year that's an aberration.
I'd like to jump in for a second, David. Number one, a couple years ago, Miami went to a Final Four fueled off of just snorting pure uncut NIL, right? Like that's how they did it.
And some other stuff.
Right. The NIL and the transfer portal actually accelerates this because people are going to be able to bring up a bag of money and say, look, let me go after this kid who, for whatever reason, didn't get enough touches or enough shots or enough minutes in his situation, and it's going to create more randomness. I think, to pretend like this is a result of NIL. First of all, this is not the first year of NIL. It's not the first year of transfer portal. To me, it's just going to increase the randomness. What do you think, David?
It's two things. One, it's people saying that Yankees, Dodgers were in the World Series last year. Look how broken baseball is. Mm-hmm. But the year before was the Rangers and Diamondbacks. So you certainly can't look at a 1 year sample. And the second thing I would offer you is we talked about Steph Curry earlier in the show today. Steph Curry has made a commitment that he wants to see, and Amin, this is not my wheelhouse, Davidson, he wants to see them become a force. If he wants to pour in the type of money required to do the type of recruiting to make Davidson look like and feel like Duke, I'm all for that. Let him do that for his alma mater and let teams decide which years they're going to really go for it or not. That makes it like any other league where sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing, but never be in the middle.
Before the end of this segment, I wish to have a Patrick Ewing off between David Samson and Amin to see who has the greater wheelhouse. It's one of the most pathetic things to ever happen around here, but they're both entrenched in their positions that they know more about the Patrick Ewing era than the other one does. Before I do that, though, I want to ask you, the group as well, have any of you seen Adolescence on Netflix?
Literally just talking about him on the last episode, Dan. I don't know if you want to spoil it. Have you seen the whole thing yet?
I have, yes.
Spoiler Wednesday.
It is Spoiler
so be
Wednesday.
Careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't come out on Sundays, though, so we can't talk about it yet.
All right. So anyway, this is one of the most popular shows on Netflix. And David, I need you to. What happened, David? What do you?
It's already all out. What do you mean an episode is coming out on Sunday?
No, I'm saying it didn't because we talked about White Lotus for Spoiler Wednesday. So the shows that come out Sunday, the spoiler day is Wednesday.
He's just worried in general. Our audience has reacted very poorly to me particularly ruining shows because I told them all that Goggins came out with his penis.
What?
So
it's Wednesday. It's safe.
It's okay
it
on
wasn't
a Wednesday.
Him, it was Isaac's, by the way.
No.
No.
Isaac's is a different thing. That's a different thing.
He's talking about Goggins on Righteous Gemstones.
I'm talking. Yes, you're talking about White Lotus. Get your get your penises right, David. Okay, please. Thank you. I would appreciate it.
I would like to be.
You're smug.
You're
You're smug though. You're smug. Okay. I was talking about a different penis, and you're like, no. I know which penis you're talking about. Let me correct you with my penis. It's annoying.
I have no illusion that I'm anything other than Jewish. I would like to just point out.
Means.
He's got
I
an illusion.
You've never heard that?
I don't want to do
You've
this.
literally never heard that, Dan.
I don't want to do this.
You brought it up, Dan.
I brought it up.
I mean, you did bring up the penis.
You're talking about penises, and
Not yours. I was not talking about yours in any way. Didn't care about yours. Wasn't asking about yours.
Wait, I'm curious. What just happened? I sort of didn't really understand.
I heard penis.
Then I heard Jewish.
I heard something
Jessica,
about Jewish penises, and my ears perked up. Samson, can you extrapolate?
Well, I can only elongate the segment if you'd like me to, but the fact is that it is thought to be that Jewish men do not have large penises. That's been the expression, and people often say, hey, I'm Jewish only from the waist up.
Wow. Oh, that's not my experience.
Mine either.
Shout out to Lehman, huh?
Mystery crate heads no.
Can we talk about adolescence?
Yeah,
for 2
yeah,
minutes
let's talk
here
about it.
without
Yeah.
Weird
spoiling it?
transition.
Don't spoil it though. I'm on the last episode. I'm halfway through the last episode, David, where they're driving in the car and there's that long scene of them driving in the car.
Okay, that is. So, did you know watching this show that the father is also the writer? Did you know that going into
I did
it?
not. I know he's in Peaky Blinders, and I loved him in Peaky Blinders.
Okay, so Stephen Graham wrote a 4-episode arc called Adolescence, and he cast a kid who had never acted before.
That kid was so good, David. I was stunned. I get so mad at child actors for being cruddy in things that I would otherwise like because it's hard to be a good child actor. That kid was so good.
He had never acted before.
That's
and
insane.
One of the rules, he had never taken an acting class. When they did the casting, and Stephen Graham has gone public with this, we would not look at video or tape or auditions of anyone who had any acting experience of any kind. Like in your 8th grade school play, I would have been eliminated for doing my sister Eileen in 7th grade. This guy, Stephen Graham, said, we're going to find a kid who is completely, my sister Eileen, is that an old reference to, Dan? Are you making fun of that?
I mean, no, I didn't make fun of anything, but Tony made a face.
I mouthed what?
Tony made a face. Look, David.
Does that come on,
What am I
Eileen?
going to do?
David, your every segment for so long is you say things like that, and Tony has a look like that, and it's everybody because yes, that was the correct way to react to that reference. Go ahead, tell us about your sister Eileen. Go ahead.
No, that's the name of the show.
I know.
It's a play.
My
Anyway,
sister Eileen. Go ahead.
Who's on first, David?
What?
What's on
The fact
second?
of the matter, him. That's
What
fine.
are you
Venmo it
doing?
later.
Wait a minute.
I miss Greg Cody.
Wait a
You
minute.
would love this episode.
I don't know who on
What
third.
was that? What was that?
That was Akbar Domestique right there. He said, him.
That was me losing a $5 is what that was.
No, that's a bigger fine than that. I feel like that
What?
should.
You can't make up the fines. They're agreed to.
Well,
So CBA?
Well, yeah, we have a set fine that people are supposed to pay into the Venmo bucket, and what I just did was a word garble, and a word garble is a $5.
Is it? Are we finding for war
He's got
garbles?
5 on it. Don't worry about it. He's got 5
All
on
right,
it.
so
Stugotz
$5. So you were
3.7
saying about
million.
adolescence.
I was saying that what they did with this kid is they brought him in and they just said, they gave him the script and they just started talking to him and saying, can you read some lines? They cast him and he ends up giving what is probably the best performance by a child actor, and without recency bias or hyperbole, that you'll see in your life. And will he grow up to be an amazing actor and to be Daniel Day-Lewis or Denzel Washington? Who knows? But he'll always have adolescence. But the reason to watch the show is that it is and I watched it with subtitles, even though it's in English, because there's so many references that Stephen Graham makes in the dialogue. It is really about how you deal with a child and how you deal with the internet and how you deal with thinking that you know what your child's doing when they close their door, and how kids, we all used to close our doors when we were growing up, except when we closed our doors, we were max from where the wild things are. It was just our imagination. Now kids, when they close their doors, it's actually opening a door to the entire world. And it's scary. Don't do it to me, Dan.
No, Jessica
Don't
was
tell
laughing
me
about.
that
I don't know what Jessica was laughing about. I want to know what she was laughing about.
Sorry, no, I just some people only need their imagination. sometimes.
When Wild Things are.
Are we going to argue over the point that kids, when they're sent to their rooms and with electronic devices, have access to more things than when I was growing up and got sent to my room? It's a different world, and parents are on the other side of the door not understanding what's actually happening with a child.
No, we're
And
not going to
this
argue
show-
over that. That is very true. I agree with
And
you.
it should scare the bejesus out of us. And when you watch this 4-episode arc, you are seeing a manifestation of what could be happening in your very own house with your own kids. And it is horrifying. And it's not a horror movie. It is horrifying, but it is so well done, so well acted. And I just think it's critical that you all watch it.
David, quick question, because I haven't watched the show. Are you telling me in the show the kid gets like sent to his room for punishment and they let him take like his iPad with him?
No.
No.
I'll answer that for
I'm
you,
not-
Dave. No.
Okay.
All right, so just so that I can tell the audience what the show is, because it's worth watching. It's shot very well, differently, a lot of lingering shots, one-shots, and the child actor is extraordinary. But where you arrive if you're a parent watching this is on the playing of probabilities as a parent. You don't guarantee yourself anything, and whatever guilt you have as failing as a parent. It's heartbreaking, and it'll reach you what this is trying to tell the story of. It's not sending a kid to his room and bad things are happening there in a simplistic sense. Without spoiling the movie, a child is capable of murder. And you don't know it because you think you know your child. What happened?
Wait, what?
With an iPad?
Oh, you guys
I
had
feel
no
like
idea?
that is-
With
I
electronics?
feel like that's exactly a spoiler.
Spoiler Wednesday,
Oh, come on, Dan.
Dan, to be fair, okay, and I'm on your side on this.
It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, but
Yeah.
if you look at the description on Netflix, the hook is there's something that happens where somebody's murdered.
That's all
not
I.
a
That's all I
spoiler.
even knew about the
That's not a
show
spoiler.
at this point. So
Okay.
let's defend Dan.
You're good, Dan.
You
You're
guys
good.
told me I was
Not
good
bad.
on Wednesday.
good.
Yeah,
No,
you're
you
good.
guys
told
You
me
know
I
what?
was
You're
good on
good.
You're
Wednesday.
good. You're good.
You guys
Yeah, you're
told
good.
me.
Yeah.
The
If
way
it's,
we
in,
were-
if it's
description,
in the
you're good.
description of the show, I don't think
The
it
way
can
we
be a
were
spoiler.
doing
in the
this,
description.
is you guys told me on Wednesdays I can say whatever I want. I can't say
That's
anything.
about
I can't say
Sunday
whatever I
shows.
want any other
That's
day.
about
But on
Sunday
Wednesdays I can
shows.
say whatever I want.
Sunday shows.
Also,
Sunday shows,
we
yeah.
had a strong 4-minute like prelude till that spoiler. So if anyone who's watching Adolescence hasn't got to that part, and you're like, "Oh, let me keep listening,"
It's
that's
also
your
within
fault.
the first 6 seconds of the show.
Yes,
So you're okay. But
you're clear. You're
We-
good.
We should probably get back to Jimmy Butler.
no, please
Oh.
don't.
No,
Are you sure?
No,
we
no,
could.
No, come on. No.
Steaks?
Dave,
I'd love to.
Steaks.
Dave, that third episode.
Medium rare.
The third episode, which is mostly focused on the young boy, his acting was incredible. So for you to tell me that he's never done acting
That's
before, he's
crazy.
never taken a
That's
class
crazy.
before, that
Ever.
third episode is solely focused on him and what happens in where he's at with whom he's with, and it's like, holy.
Some
Hold on a
people are
second.
born
Can I,
with it.
can I
Well,
ask you
Tony,
guys?
there could be 2 Emmys there, Billy. I'm sorry. There could be 2 Emmys won in that episode 3.
Yeah, yes.
Both the therapist and the boy.
Yes.
So can I ask you guys a question? So spoiler alert, spoiler Wednesday, spoiler alert. Turn off, and I can't spoil anything because I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. So this kid is never taking acting classes, but he played the role perfectly of a little kid that turns out to be a murderer.
Whoa, we don't
Like,
know.
We should
don't
probably
know.
start like
We
talking.
don't know
to
if he did it.
someone.
We don't know if
the
he
kid's
did it.
never learned how to act like a murderer and just naturally takes it up, I think we need to talk.
Billy,
to
as someone who also hasn't watched the show, let me answer your question. Some people are just born with it. Some
Wow.
people can become a character that they're not so convincingly that even local media people might be swayed to write things about these people. They're gifted, and we should cherish and praise them and really encourage. I hope this kid has supporting.
Foster it, yeah.
like, hey, you should do more of this, kid. You should have more opportunities like this, and you should be compensated
while you're
handsomely
still on the
for it.
outside.
Yeah.
I mean, Amin is a top tier actor. We know that. It's
movies.
Amin 1A, Greg Cody 1B in terms of actors
was
on
just
the show.
so
He could have been
ass off.
Goggins, Dan.
Yeah.
2 movies. What can I say?
David, the baseball season is starting, and I don't know whether I could muster any enthusiasm from Billy on the baseball season because of the state of the Marlins.
Well, let me give you a way to do it. Tomorrow, all eyes are on Marlins Park. It's the best pitching matchup in all of baseball, happening only moments from your studio right now at about 4:10 p.m. It may be sold out, but I bet there's tickets on the secondary market. But Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who is the favorite to win the Cy Young Award, as a second-year player coming off his Rookie of the Year and third or second place finish last year, Jeremy, I don't remember which, is going against Sandy Alcantara, who's coming back from injury, who's been locked in already. This is a matchup that you're not going to get often throughout the season, whether you're a Dodger, Yankee, Mets fan, whoever you are. That's an unbelievable game. You may not have heard of the position players for the Marlins or the Pirates, but the good old-fashioned starting pitching matchup, get yourself to Marlins Park tomorrow for opening day.
They're also selling, I think, special like ticket packages where you can get like a commemorative shirt of the matchup. David, wouldn't you guys sometimes do things where like you would pitch your ace day 2 because you knew you were going to sell out opening day, and then it's like, well, you can see Jose game 2 though.
No, you want to line up your rotation for your best pitcher to start the first game, and we would always go against the other team's best pitcher, and we knew it. And remember, all the talk about who's your opening day starter, it doesn't really matter because the rotations change so much during the course of the season. But no, you want your best out there no matter what opening day.
Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast. He does it daily, beginning live every day at 8 a.m. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Folks, when it comes to competition, Boost Mobile and DraftKings have you covered all year. Compete for free for a share of $4,000 in multi-sport prediction contests throughout 2025. Get in on the action now and play for free for a total of $270,000 thanks to Boost Mobile. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com/BoostMobile for details.
I don't know what Amin is doing. He's smiling. There have been 3 times during the show today that I'm pretty sure Amin is laughing at things that don't have much of anything to do with what we're doing on the show. I think just now, I don't know what to do with this, Jessica, because we've been doing 2 hours of show unevenly. And Amin said right before we turned on the microphones, as I was headed toward other subject matter, we buried the lead on the Jimmy Butler thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know, but Jessica, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do?
I mean, you already lost your bet, so stakes on you. Second of all, very dangerous game when you call someone out for laughing off air, and then they have to think of something to say. Just happened to me the last time. I didn't want to say what I was thinking. I made something up. I don't even know what I said.
Jessica?
You just did it to Amin. Amin,
Jessica.
tell us why you're laughing, Amin.
Jessica.
Because I sent him a funny Sesame Street tweet. That's why.
Sunny days.
Sesame Street.
It was a funny one, right, Amin?
It was hilarious.
Jessica.
So Grover had this like hilarious fake mustache and a hat on. And I said, that's you.
I wanted Jessica.
Akbar?
You're right. That's Akbar.
So badly in the last hour to have the words that you were saying to Billy behind a hand while laughing, because you didn't want the cameras to catch whatever it is that you were saying, Billy. I've wanted those words for about 35 minutes.
I don't know. What did you say to me?
But it was like a mound visit.
It was like LeBron. It was like LeBron and Wade. She was hiding. I was in the middle of talking, and she was laughing and hiding her hand from me and the audience.
I was trying not to be distracting.
I've wanted those words for 35 minutes.
It is allergy season. Maybe she had to sneeze.
No, it was pretty clear she was just laughing with you on a Wild Willy Wednesday.
Me?
That's right. There are 2 serious things that I actually wanted to get to with Amin that we have not gotten to. The Cain Velasquez story is something that I wanted to get to. And before we got to that, I wanted to talk for a second because I did think that something interesting actually ended up springing from all of that Jackie Robinson Defense Department stupidity from last week. Whether it comes to do any of you find yourself alarmed that when it comes to artificial intelligence, the stories you get are about the Enola Gay being removed from the record books temporarily because of a World War II bomber from Hiroshima had the word gay in it, and Jackie Robin's history has obviously black in it. Are you at all confused and scared that artificial intelligence is literally trying to erase humanity with these stories that are coming out about stupidities, because you've got artificial intelligence handling how it is that things are seen as equal?
it's not artificial intelligence doing it. Like people are using an AI tool to scrape things from websites, but it's people that are behind it. And also, what I'm scared about is that's the second worst thing that's happened around the DoD in this past week. Like there is another ginormous scandal unfolding.
And that one ain't AI.
That's correct.
That's
Human error.
Human error.
Inordinate stupidities where war plans are being sent accidentally to the wrong journalist.
Not just to the wrong person, to a journalist, right? Like of all the people, like not my nanny, not like.
Was it Adam?
They said to Adam Schefter, right?
Wrong Adam.
Adam Lichtenstein. is who we're talking
Adam
about.
from the Sun Sentinel, a star of Oddball.
Oh, there you go.
How would Amin know who that is?
Yeah,
Akbar met him.
I wanted to bring David Samson back because I wanted to do a Patrick. I didn't even get to the real parts of these two stories.
We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it.
No, because it's the one of the things that sprung from the Jackie Robinson just sheer stupidity. You can't even do funny with it. It's just so dumb. Is that RG3 is going on Stephen A. Smith's show. This is after RG3, he was trying to make the rounds recently. He reached out to Jamel, reached out to our show. There was something that he wanted to correct because when it came to Jackie Robinson, he had tweeted out, I just miss when sports shows were about sports. And he went on Stephen A. Smith's show and he explained something that I had not considered when I saw that, as people turned RG3 into whatever it is that they are willing to say when they say he's not black enough. RG3 came out and was hurt and was viewing it through the narcissistic eyes of, I want sports shows to be sports shows because when they used to talk about me on First Take, Rob Parker was calling me a cornball brother, and it was a black guy saying another black guy wasn't quite black enough for his taste, and I've been that since. I had never heard it before, and I've been that since for people because I've married a white woman and because of whatever you think of my politics that makes Stephen A. comfortable enough to say on his show, hey, nobody at ESPN liked you, RG3. I liked you, saying Stephen A. Smith, but no one there liked you because you were somebody who didn't fit. And so RG3 brought the perspective of, I wanted to be talking about sports, not whether I'm black enough. This is something that I run into a lot with certain black athlete friends of mine where they're too white for black people and too black for white people. And so they find this space where all of a sudden that's what they're talking about on First Take. And RG3 has to represent a certain kind of black.
Yeah. For what it's worth, RG3's defense, as I heard it, not on the show, but behind the scenes as someone who got reached out to, is that his comment had nothing to do with Mina. It was he didn't even know Mina had said that or gone on the show.
Okay,
but because he didn't, I'm just telling you. I'm not. Don't shoot.
Don't shoot the messenger, guys. Just trying to tell a story.
I'm not doing that to you. I'm derisively doing that to RG3.
But basically, he's saying that like it was said, not according to what Mina was talking about. It just happened simultaneously. Like he had the worst timing ever. To which I responded to an intermediary. Then why didn't you immediately just say, hey, by the way, I'm not, I see a lot of people saying, connecting me to this. I'm not. And then I got sent what his correction was, and it was as convoluted as anything I've ever seen. But I kind of saw the seeds of him trying to say, oh, it wasn't about Mina, but he said it in such a convoluted way that it didn't really land.
Yeah, it's just unsurprising, right? Like that's RG3 is one of several people in the sort of sports media landscape who will just say anything for clicks, right? I mean, that's what that was. That's putting something out there at a time when the topic was the topic du jour, and he knew that that would be divisive, and not only knew it would be divisive, he knew the specific audience that he was attracting with it.
I would say, Jeremy, the only thing I would say is, I'm willing to accept that he didn't know that she said that and had no idea. But once he saw the fervor and furor, instead of like saying,
let it sit there on purpose. That's fair.
Absolutely, because it's pretty easy to me if I was talking about something and someone said, "Oh, you said that about Dan Le Batard?" I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't even hear what Dan said." I would go immediately and correct.
Like 24 hours he let that sit there.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
David Samson, I never got to the Patrick Ewing off with you and Amin, and I meant to. Are you ready to do that now? You say it's your wheelhouse. Amin says he's got a better wheelhouse than your wheelhouse. Can you please tell me what a wheelhouse is? I don't even know what an actual wheelhouse is.
House of Wheels.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you know what a wheelhouse is?
Has to do with boating, I would assume.
Wheel? What are you, buses?
I don't know. Do any of you know what a wheelhouse is?
According to artificial intelligence on Google, it says that in your wheelhouse originates from the nautical term for small enclosed area on a ship where the captain steers. So score one for Billy.
A seaman.
Oh.
Dan.
David.
That's a raise for him, by the way, Dan.
Only if it makes it. Only if it makes it all the way. Gets to the end zone, then yes.
I think
I'm 2 for 2.
It's a great.
We need the third one, though. That's where the money comes in.
Red zone conversion.
Billy, the way that you describe being married, where you have to go to a NASCAR race in order to get a piece of quiet.
That was a private conversation. Just said I got some peace and quiet over the weekend. You said where? I said at Homestead Miami Speedway during the NASCAR race. The loudest place to have some quiet time.
You're going to learn not to tell Dan things.
Just, a moment that I was sitting there in the grandstand, and I thought, man, I could just think here if it wasn't so damn loud, but this is also the quietest it's been in a long time. Anyways, David, if I were to tell you, guess which sports a young Patrick Ewing excelled at as a child, which sports would you say?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I would say that it seems hard to imagine that he was late to basketball, but I guess it's possible. So I would assume it's not tennis.
Can I steal?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was late to basketball because he emigrated here from Jamaica. So he played soccer and volleyball.
You got one of the two. He played soccer and cricket.
Cricket.
Huge in Jamaica.
That's a wheelhouse, Amin, right there, knowing what he did in Jamaica.
Okay. Guess what, man? When you like the sport, you know everything. You don't just I know for the 7 years.
You know half the things because you got volleyball wrong. So
I mean, your question, did Patrick Ewing win Rookie of the Year?
He sure did.
David, please spell Patrick Ewing's middle name.
Is it A-L-A-N?
It does start A-L. That's close.
What is it?
Alistair.
It's A-L-O-Y-S-I-U-S.
Aloysius.
So far, our wheelhouse guys have gotten just about everything wrong. Like when Amin tries to steal it, he steals it incorrectly.
Well, close enough. Closer than David.
And David thinks his name's Alan, but other than that, we're close.
I was just looking over at the signed pair of Game U sneakers I have, and he doesn't spell out his full name.
All right, here's a question.
But he does sign it with C33.
Okay, here's a question. What size sneaker does David Samson own autographed by Patrick Ewing?
Amin, do you know his foot size? So there's a funny thing about this story. If Patrick Ewing does not have large feet at all. And I would assume, as I'm looking, it's probably only a 12 to a 13, and that's it.
Patrick Ewing wears 13s. Yes, it's up to you to confirm.
David has the shoes. You can see. I don't know the size. It says 15 here, but that doesn't sound right compared to what you guys are saying.
Same as Lehman.
Yeah, small feet.
You guys are getting everything wrong.
Because I'm not a. Look, it's not a.
You guys said. David, how do you not know the size of the shoes that you've purchased that are in your house? How could you get that wrong?
I literally could care less how big his foot is. Oh. I have the shoes because of the meaning of those shoes in my life, not the fact that they're a 12 or a 15 or a 20. I have Shaq shoes because I can live in them, and those are like a 24, Amin, and those are just shocking. They're so heavy to even lift. Patrick's shoes are just normal.
I worked with a guy, I know.
Okay, so next question. Amin, what do those shoes mean to David Samson?
The world.
Look at me, Leroy.
Uh-oh. Is that for David?
That was You worked with him, is what you said of Shaq? You're in the tank for Shaq.
I'm not in the tank. I work with the guy.
That's his guy, though. He showed up to the funeral.
Do we believe that Shaq forgot that he bought a car and it just showed up at his house?
And there are cameras. There are cameras there.
Exactly right.
There are
Like
cameras,
that was a lot. Why does he do these things? You know Shaq. Why does Shaq do these things?
Because he thinks it's funny. Like I'll be honest with you. Like, and by the way, 90% of the stuff doesn't make it out for a variety of reasons. Not the least of which is you can't do that one, big fella. I'm gonna tell you right now, you can't do that. I'll tell a story. Remember when he called Chris Bosh the RuPaul of big men? You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
So what happened was Shaq caught the ball and made a legal basketball move, and Chris Bosh over exaggerated the reaction. Refs toss him. Flagrant 2, you're out, right? And this is before they could review these things. So Shaq comes to the back and sits in with us in the video room, and he's literally workshopping all the things he's going to say about Chris Bosh at the end. And we're like, big fella, you can't say that one. No, you can't. You cannot say that. That's not. So then we say, what if I say he's the RuPaul of big men? And we all looked around the room and we're like, I think that's just on this side of acceptable. Like,
this is why DEI should exist in all organizations.
Towing the line.
Amin was there. What do you mean DEI? Amin was there.
I can think of some other voices that might not have loved RuPaul of big men.
But it doesn't really mean anything.
Does it not?
And yet it means everything, right?
It does.
That's why it toes the line.
I would side with Jeremy on this one.
That Kevin Durant toe on the line.
Not surprised, though. We're too woke.
In 1984 at the Olympics, when Patrick Ewing was one of the players for Team USA to win the gold medal, what jersey number did he wear?
I'll give it to you, David. I think I know which one, but go ahead.
My best guess would be 6.
Me too. 6.
It was number 6.
The wheelhouse, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. That includes the wheelhouse. Thank you, David. Thank you.
David, one last thing for the wheelhouse. Patrick Ewing went to as many NBA finals as Jimmy Butler. You still throw that out there. Oh, wait, time
and they
out.
have the same number of rings.
That's not correct.
What do you mean?
Is that correct?
Yes. They went to the same number of. You know what?
It's his wheelhouse, Dan.
And you know what?
Not yours.
Hold on. Let me give you another one. Jimmy Butler played more NBA finals games than Patrick Ewing did. You know why? Because Patrick Ewing didn't play in them second finals. He was sitting, nursing a wrist injury by who was the guy that hurt him and what city?
It was 1999, and I don't remember Amin. I just know that it was a nightmare that he couldn't play. That was when I believe we beat the Heat as an 8 seed that year. That was the Allen Houston shot in Miami.
Game 5.
But 1994 was when Jordan was retired, and we got 7. He got 7 finals games. So he's played a total of 7 finals games, 2 finals, no rings.
Yes. The other finals he didn't play, Dan, was because he was hurt. They lost to the Spurs in 5 games, but Jimmy Butler played in his 5 games. I also want to throw out real quick, David, they beat the Heat in the first round, 3-2. Who did they play in the second round that year?
They played the Pacers in the 3rd round. The second round could have been the Hawks.
Yes, and what was the series?
We would have gotten that. It didn't go 7, so I'm going to say 6.
Sorry, it was a sweep. Go ahead. Go back to your little wheelhouse.
Okay, no, you guys stink at wheelhouse.
I don't know. That was pretty good off the top of his head for someone that's not supposed to be an expert.
No, but he's picking the facts that he knows, and we asked them questions, and they got them all wrong. Thank you, David, for being on with us. And
bravo, David.
Showing off of your expertise. Before the end of the show, I want this bet with Jessica, but in the meantime, we've got a stat of the day involving Jimmy Butler.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Stat of the Day is presented by Miller Lite.
In his triumphant return to Miami, Jimmy Butler was outscored by both Davion Mitchell and Alec Burks as the Warriors scored the second fewest points that they've scored in a game this season.
Wow. The laziest stat of the day ever. The laziest stat of the day ever.
What would you have preferred, Amin?
A stat of the day that was actually insightful.
You've cheapened the stat of the day. The stat of the day is to be respected, and it's almost always great. That was not great. That just stunk as a stat of the day. The stat of the day is meant to resonate historically. Like, it's meant to be something you remember and maybe tell your friends later.
Something that people who don't know the show might hear and repeat, like, wow, Shohei Ohtani did all of that on half a tank of gas or whatever. Like, that's what it should be. Now, Dan, I want to present a theory, if I may. I think that Jeremy was a plant. I think Jessica was like, hey, let me get multiple stakes on this. Jeremy, get Dan to say Jimmy Butler one more time. And Jeremy said, I got it right now. I'll pretend I have a stat of the day. And then Dan, he knows Dan can't resist the stat of the day. It's like putting steak in front of him. Right? Like, oh my God, a stat of the day.
Well, it's like tuna steak.
A tuna steak in front of him. And so they say, okay, Dan, we got a stat of the day. And of course, Dan takes the bait, because how could he not take the bait?
We have not made the bet yet, and therefore I can say Jimmy Butler's name and talk about him as much as I like, because the bet will be made toward the end of the show if we remember. We often don't remember.
Can we negotiate now?
Here.
Also, it was always multiple stakes.
Yeah. Stakes, that's
like,
right.
We're starting at, the starting point is at least 2 stakes.
Kalaware outscored him too.
I don't think that. I think the bet has to have greater stakes than that. I think it needs to be. If we're going to build it up all show, we've got.
I agree, but
it's got to
2
have some
stakes
consequences.
are included.
I mean, stakes are pretty good.
I also agree when the stat of the day is like, hey, 20 points is more than 18 points.
Yeah,
it's not the
that
best.
Stinks.
Kyle Anderson was plus 24.
It stings. And thank you for all of your hard work. And when I say that, it wasn't hard work at all. It was incredibly lazy. So I wanted to talk about something here, March Madness related. Can you get? Can we get a poll together on the following? Because somebody made a $5 bet, $5, on the following parlay. Dodgers to win the World Series. This is from last year. Dodgers to win the World Series.
Check.
Ohio State to win the national championship in football.
Check.
The Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Check.
Tennessee to win in college baseball, to win the College World Series.
Check.
Still on the way.
And now they have Duke to win the national championship. What do you think that should pay? A $5 bet that has those 5 in play. What do you think that should pay roughly?
5 figures at least.
5?
Yeah.
I'm going
high 5 figures.
I'm going $37,000.
No, that's close
Low?
to like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
70? 73,000.
So it's $168,000 on a $5 bet. And what I wanted to ask you guys is, what is the correct way to hedge that? Like, because I'm not a I'm a terrible gambler.
Amateur.
Like a really terrible gambler. I'm not good at it in any way. DraftKings should be ashamed for giving me any of their money, but I give it all right back.
Don't say that. It's a contract.
I'm just saying, like, I could be the worst gambler there's ever been, because I just want to have one bet on one game, but a lot of games.
He is the perfect person for DraftKings to pay, because as he just said, he's going to take all of that money right back into the sportsbook app.
They might as well be laundering their money right back to them.
Well, no. Where's that music?
So my guess is he'll win $7 million.
We already gave it. You weren't listening.
No.
We already gave the answer, but that's excellent producing.
You got to let it ride, Dan, because Duke is the favorite right now. Tennessee in baseball.
You got to let it ride. You guys wouldn't hedge that? You guys. So wait a minute, Tony. I know that's not true. Tony, Tony, you just had a baby. If you made a $5 bet, and you need now Duke to win the national championship for $168,000, you have to hedge that. And I'm asking you, how do you hedge it? Do you bet $10,000, $20,000 on their next 4 opponents as you go, to make sure that you guarantee yourself X? What's the lowest amount of money? Now, I know some people would just sell this ticket. This ticket might go. Somebody might buy this ticket for $70,000. Like, this is something that is done, and that's how you get out. But how do you hedge this bet? I'm sure a professional gambler would easily answer this question, but I don't know how to do it.
So I was confused. I thought it was Tennessee baseball from this season.
Yeah.
But it's from last season, so they already won.
They won it in May of 2024.
Gotcha, so it was last season.
Do we know when this parlay bet was placed? Because if it was after May of 2024, then we're talking about this upcoming College World Series.
No. It was last College World Series.
No,
the four bets have won.
They've already cashed everything else. So
Duke is the only thing remaining.
Duke.
Got it.
So
Okay.
how do forgive me for not explaining that correctly. It's been an affliction today.
So should the poll be, should this person hedge or should they write it out?
Well, I'm asking you guys. We'll get to the poll in a second. Thank you, Billy. Perhaps you can help me with that and create the poll yourself.
I'll go first, Dan. I don't know.
Good, I know.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Look, I'm not gonna say it's in the same zip code as that stat of the day, but it's close.
It's close, yeah.
Move off of looking for me to answer because I don't know.
All right, Dan.
Tony's
so
turn.
here's the thing. So the cash out, I just looked it up. The cash out for the guy is $50,000. So if I tell my wife, look, baby, listen, we got $50,000 cash for sure. Obviously, Uncle Sam's gonna take his piece. Things are gonna happen, whatever. But Duke right now, is steamrolling teams. Like, they are not close. Like, they are just beating teams. Their third guy is great, okay? You've seen Cooper Flag, right? You get Cooper Flag. He's like, oh, yeah, I saw him in the select thing and the thing on Max. I was like, yep. Same guy. He's incredible. He's going to be the number one pick. Maybe the Wizards, maybe the Hornets, who knows? Not the point. The point is, he's the best player in college basketball. Right now, Duke is churning. They're the best Duke team we've seen in maybe 20 years.
A long time. It's been a long time since
Baby.
this good.
You know what's better than $50,000 cash?
What's that?
After Uncle Sam taking his piece, which, we're going to leave him with like 30 something.
Okay.
You know what's better than that?
What's better?
$168,000.
What? That's a lot of money.
And I tell baby, hey, all of a sudden, Miami real estate, you know how it is.
So
we take that money,
Jessica's saying she doesn't know, and I don't know, and there is a professional way to do this. But what I'm asking all of you is the hypothetical. Would you guys hedge that, or would you just try and ride it out? Because I would assume all of you would hedge it to guarantee yourself an amount of money that doesn't wait for whether or not Cooper Flag's ankle goes again. And Duke can win it, obviously, without Cooper Flag.
Well, I don't know if they can win it without.
It makes
Cooper
it
Flag.
easier with Cooper Flag.
Yeah, Cooper Flag.
I think you have to wait till you get to the final and then just absolutely monster hedge on the other team, right? Because you're still waiting. Because right now you can't just pick Duke or the field for $50,000. I can't take a second mortgage, a HELOC out of my house, and then put it on the field.
I do think that because it was a $5 bet from the jump, this changes a lot, right? Like if it was a huge bet with then a huge payout, maybe you continue to invest. But the fact that you only put $5 on it, it's like ride what that feels like until the end, and maybe you don't come up with $168,000, but in the worst case, you lost $5.
But that's
no, but you lost $50,000. You didn't lose $5. The worst case is you lost 50. What kind of math are you doing?
Terrible math.
This is why I was a journalism major, Dan.
He couldn't sell it to his wife. That's the issue.
Nah, there you go. Number one, number two. This is what's giving you that kind of stat of the day. Arithmetic.
Okay, why is he in charge of the stat of the day if he doesn't know basic math?
We're understaffed.
I was really good at calculus.
Were you?
Yeah, I was great. Yeah, I got a 5 on the AP exam.
U plus me equals us.
There it is. $50,000, Dan. $50,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, 168's more.
What I'm asking you guys is, do you have the confidence in Duke to lose $118,000? Do you have the confidence in Duke to bet $118,000 that they're going to win their next 4 games?
Tony, got to sell it again. Hold on.
Again, Cooper Flag, you seen him, Dan. You saw when they threw him that alley-oop, and he screamed as he dunked. And then he got off, and the crowd was like, ah!
Is there a cash-out option for $50,000?
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, he can cash out for $50,000.
Cash out, walk
but
away.
again, Uncle
Billy,
Sam
have you not
takes
been
his.
listening to this
He
segment?
hasn't.
No,
It's
because
crazy.
he's losing only $5 actual that he bet.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Billy. Thank you,
what
Billy.
he's put into it is $5.
Are we
that $50,000 is
What is
he's
happening
giving
right
up
now?
the opportunity to take $50,000, but he's also missing out on the opportunity to win $108,000.
If a genie showed up now, Billy, and just said to you, "Hey, I can either give you $50,000 now, or we can wait and see if Duke wins, and I'll give you $168," what are you doing? Are you saying no thanks, Genie, and
No,
you're
I
walking
mean, I
away?
would take it, but
you take
I'm
the
like,
50, or you say I'll hold out.
No,
for
I'll
Duke?
take the 50.
There you go. Then that's your
it's,
answer.
It's easy money, but Tony's talking me into the 168.
By the way, Cain Velasquez, another guy in the lottery, K2. Very good from the outside, but can mix it in with the big boys inside. Big body. They got Maluk, who's incredible too.
Are you pronouncing those names correctly?
Cain Velasquez, yes.
A lot of
the other guy, no.
It doesn't seem like Knipple should, but I know it is because I've watched him play. But it just doesn't seem.
I saw people being critical of Tony earlier, saying he was mispronouncing multiple names on Duke. Not today, earlier.
Cooper Flag and Cain Velasquez is exactly how you say it. So whoever that guy is, dork.
I want to combine Spoiler Wednesdays with this current Duke conversation for a moment. Did you guys see that? And this is a White Lotus light spoiler. So fast forward if you don't want to know anything about the most recent
It's a spoiler
episode.
Wednesday. I thought we were allowed to do whatever we wanted.
I'm still
on
giving
Wednesday.
the spoiler alert. Duke was not happy with the usage of their trademark in the most recent episode of The White Lotus, and they released a statement saying, "The White Lotus not only uses our brand without permission, but in our view uses it on imagery that is troubling, does not reflect our values or who we are, and simply goes too far." And then they further talked about, suicide awareness and things like that. But I want to know who the Duke person is that Mike White, the creator of White Lotus, hates. Because the usage of Duke in the last episode is something that, if you haven't seen it on social media yet, is going to become a meme for our times.
All right, let's take this to the poll. Do you believe that Duke will win 4 games? Yes or no?
Ooh.
This poll is brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon, Game Day's #1 pour. Evan Williams Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Bardstown, Kentucky, 43 to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly, 21 and over.
Can we also put on the poll, are you losing $5 or $50,000?
You guys don't like that Duke is pissed that they're in a funny meme now?
I love it. I love it. But also, I'm not fond of Duke. That's why.
He just
Exactly.
really hates Greg
that's
Paulus.
That's why it's funny.
No, dude, that's an interesting question. Who is the person? It's Christian Leitner.
You think so? It dates all the way back?
Grayson Allen.
No, it's J.J. Redick.
J.J. Redick is another good one.
We already had this conversation. Those are the 3 Mount Rushmore guys at Duke. I don't know who's number 4 on annoying guy. Annoying. The secret sauce. And is it Shane Battier?
Shane Battier.
I mean, does Coach K count?
Of course he does.
All right, let's make that 4th spot. So
wait, Mike White's 54. I thought he was a little younger, so
No.
it probably is Christian Leitner.
Yeah, Christian Leitner. Yeah.
So we have on the Mount Rushmore of most annoying Duke players ever. Because if what you're telling me, like, man, Cooper Flagg, Boston's going to really want him. Like,
So is Utah. Oh, Utah. Dan. Utah's salivating right now.
Oh, Danny Ainge left everything Boston to go, I'll build you out here. I'll build you out here with Cooper Flagg in Utah.
So you know the Vince McMahon meme of like he's going and he's leaning back. Oh, that's Utah, right? The first one is like, what if I gave you Lauri Markkanen? Oh, that's pretty interesting. Then the next one is
Walker
like,
Kessler.
what if I give Walker Kessler? Oh, and then the third one is, what if I give you Filipowski? Oh, and then the fourth one, Cooper Flagg.
The laser shooting out of his eyes.
That's how it goes for Utah.
Well, you guys are saying, you have to understand, okay? So you've got John Skipper and David Samson asking the question, how do we pay these people and what does it mean if Duke, we're all watching Duke and we're like, whoa, them in Florida, they look a lot better than everybody else. This is pronounced. This looks like they're, maybe somehow Calipari can sneak some Calipari magic in and somewhere, but we're watching there. You tell me if there's a third team that belongs in here, because Duke and Florida to me look like they're a level above between professional basketball and what's now minor league basketball. They seem to be a good deal better. So if I make Duke better at recruiting and better at money than everyone, when I'm walking around now doing the absurd thing of saying, yeah, your roster costs $20 million. That's what it costs in college football. You got to have $20 million. If Duke gets all of the winning and they have a monopoly on annoying guys, right, throughout history, there's no other school. Is there another school that you assign even 2 annoying guys to for a Mount Rushmore in the history of college basketball? Is there another school that you would say, I've got 2 Mount Rushmore, America hated this person? When you're talking about everything that Duke represents, all of it, Redick, Grayson Allen, and Christian Leitner are all-time hated players. I don't even know if we can make those anywhere outside of Duke anymore. Like an all-time hated player because of the school you're at, because we know you're good, because you're arrogant, because you think you're better than everyone, and you slap the court on defense.
Hate that.
Wojo.
Hate that so
Wojo.
much.
Oh, you play defense.
Wojo's a good one.
Wojo should be on that
If
Mount
we're
Rushmore,
going with
man.
coaches, that's a different story because I think Dan Hurley has arrived.
Oh, man. He's way worse than Coach K. Way more polarizing than Coach K for sure. I think Coaches, actually, there's a conversation. Patino, people didn't like Patino. Coach Cal, people really didn't like Coach
Bobby
Cal.
Knight, obviously.
Bobby Knight.
No, it's easy with coaches.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about players.
Players only?
I'm asking America to give me the program that's got a player that you recoil with the three I just named. With that guy just annoys me. It's not because he's a bad person. It's just it's your face. It's your face.
This is gonna lose perhaps a shipping container, Dan. But Indiana and Steve Alford, people really didn't like that dude, man.
The Fab Five.
It was their shorts.
More than the shorts. Their shoes.
You saw the story about UConn threatening the reporter who posted the video of Dan Hurley, right?
Oh,
I mean, that's some evil villain.
Bobby Mullen, the SID over at UConn, which I love, he threatened him. He said, I will end you, right? He says
I will ruin you.
I will ruin you. And then they come out with the statement afterward, and it said, new at 6, SID threatens reporter or whatever. I'm like, guy, you can't start your apology with shtick, or can you? He did, and I thought it was glorious.
Really quick. I mean, I have a question because you talked about Utah and Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, Cooper Flagg, possibly Filipowski. Could they field an all-white starting lineup?
I'm glad you asked that because just the other night in Los Angeles, the Bulls fielded an all-white lineup.
They scored 150 with an all-white lineup on Luka and LeBron.
That team is so good.
They're fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're fun.
So we revealed this on Basketball Illuminati the other day, and it was I was like, is that right? No, I don't even think they have 5 white players, but nope, it was right. They had 5 whites on the floor. It was Matas Buzelis.
Who's not bad, by the way. They're giving him minutes.
He's pretty.
He's looking good.
I just realized the joke.
Thank you. It was Matas Buzelis. It was
Vooch.
That sounds like you're going to the
Vooch,
bathroom.
yeah.
What happened
Again,
there?
he's looking for the
Giddey.
white guys.
What
There you
just
go.
happened?
Giddey, who's been playing
Josh
incredible, by
Giddey.
the way.
Kevin Herter.
Kevin
probably.
Herter, Vucevic, and Kobe White. 5 whites.
5 whites, and one of them actually named White.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah,
that one
4 whites and one's
named White.
Oh, I thought. Wait a minute.
Kobe
Forgive
White.
me. I was going to trade for Derek White.
Oh no! Well, Kobe White's already there.
Yeah, we didn't need him.
But Boston could counter with Porzingis, Luke Cornett,
Pritchard.
Hauser, and Derek White. White versus White. That would be the great NBA Finals ratings, right?
Can I just examine
Yes.
for a second? I simply want to examine an SID, a sports information director. So this is somebody who is working in communications, who their job is to disseminate sports information. Do you realize how great a threat it is to be able to shout at someone, "I will ruin you"? To shout the confidence you have to shout something like that in public, and the rage that you have to shout something like that at somebody, at a journalist.
So, I know of some journalists who have yelled stuff like that.
I can't think of a single SID that I know in real life that would like fly off the handle like this. Like, the job of the SID is also to make the team look good and to like make the players look good, to have media relations where they're like, hey, we're the good guys here. We didn't do anything wrong. And he's like, I'll ruin you for posting a thing that actually happened that we all heard.
When your job is to disseminate sports information that you don't want disseminated.
That's why I love his apology, because it starts at the sarcastic. New at 6. SID gets angry at reporter for saying something. And that's how he started his apology. Like, I went off the handle a little bit. But first, some shtick.
So good, though, that I'll ruin you. Hurley is, and gosh, I love when these coaches are content machines. His arrogance is earned.
Of course.
And he knows it. Like, he speaks it. He yells it at referees. And I'm stunned to see it, because Belichick didn't behave that way. Like, there have been people who have been as great as he is, and he descends from coaching, so he really, like, his whole story crafted by Woj and a basketball family of how it is that they rule basketball in the Northeast because they teach it better. They have respect. The Hurleys have respect. Oh, Hurley's a good Duke-hated guy.
There you go.
That's his brother is a good Duke-hated guy. The Hurley name feels like it's basketball royalty.
It is.
In the Northeast, where they celebrate the whites. There's no other point I wanted to make there.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I am so disappointed that there has been a lack of evolution in America and in 2025 and with our show that makes it this many years after Jackie Robinson that Jeremy and Pitch Clock are segregated.
What?
Baseball lives over there. Baseball lives in a segment that Jeremy wants to do with others, not with us, because nobody around here wants to talk about baseball, wants to be excited about opening day. I've got a room full of people who don't care about baseball. Billy cares about it, but the Marlins have broken his soul.
I mean, I'll be there. I'll be there supporting the team, but, I'm biased, of course. So I'll be there taking
You want to do
in.
Pitch Clock next week?
Well, I mean,
segregated.
Here's the problem with Pitch Clock, because you're saying no one wants to talk about baseball. Is it possible no one wants to talk to Jeremy?
Segregated. I think we should do.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
I think we should No, you're not going to head out. You're going to be here.
no,
You're going to do Pitch Clock in 15 minutes.
Well, that's over in Studio B. I can get ready.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think it's very friendly what they did there. I believe though the Pitch Clock.
When has this show ever been friendly to me?
It's never been segregated. It's never.
Well, I got sent to the penalty box a lot, man. There was a time when I couldn't say anything. I was like, "I'm going to go to the penalty box." It felt a little,
The implications.
Yeah, the implication.
We've got a penalty, 5 minutes, major asshole.
Jeremy, right?
Jeremy.
Jess?
Amin.
Get out of me.
Wow.
No, Jeremy's privileged.
I mean, that's true.
To America.
We all know that's true.
Just because Amin was black. That's it.
Yeah, born on third base.
It's the only reason I did it. This Cain Velasquez story, if you guys have not been reading it, Cain Velasquez, a very menacing man, UFC heavyweight champion, and I'd like to get the details right on this because a lot of parents in the audience, okay, because I don't know what it is to summon this particular age. I do not have kids, so I cannot find in me anything that would make me react the way that Cain Velasquez did, where my rage consumes me in such a fashion that I stop thinking about consequences at all. Cain Velasquez was so infuriated that his son had been molested by an adult that he tried to start shooting him in the street while chasing him. And I cannot imagine a lot of things scarier than an enraged Cain Velasquez who's not thinking about consequences, trying to shoot me and accidentally shooting others. And now he goes to prison for 5 years, at least. And I'm guessing a lot of parents in the audience might understand the idea of getting so beside yourself, outside yourself with rage that you decide to try to kill somebody and you stop thinking about what that means because your love and protection is such that is the worst thing that you can do to somebody. The worst thing an adult can do to somebody is take advantage of someone vulnerable. To be the protector of that person and to feel like responsible for allowing that to happen in any way, I think anyone listening to this can understand how a rage would consume you that would make you stop caring about consequences.
Well, clearly Cain had to go to prison because he had an innocent bystander. But as a parent, for the person who did that heinous act, that right there is justifiable homicide. And I don't think any jury in the world, if the person who committed the heinous act, if I had actually killed that person, would convict me.
I don't think is that legally right? I don't think that's legally right.
I don't think so at all. I'm pretty sure you would still, like, justification be damned. I think you would still get convicted.
I think it would be
if you
filed
killed
under crime
someone.
of passion.
No,
right?
but it would be a crime. I don't think there would be a jury that would convict you because you can't. That's not the way that you can react to things. And Cain Velasquez is deeply sorry. I'm the part of this that I'm more interested in is how rage works. Just
blindly.
Well, it's yes, blindly.
But in this case, Dan, to assist you here, in this case, it was not only blindly where it just happened at a happenstance or like a matter of a second. This was prolonged blindness of I'm gonna chase this guy in his car for 11 miles while I shoot several shots out of a .40 caliber handgun into the car that also has his mom and his stepfather, and the stepfather eventually getting struck with life-threatening shots, but that's where the attempted murder comes in. That's where all of these firearm charges and whatnot comes in. But the issue is, and how to tie everything together is, the man who was accused of molesting his son, the parents who were in the car owned a daycare that the son went to. And that's kind of the connection point where they were all in the car. He went out there and tried to, again, avenge his son for what had happened. And the prolonged nature of 11 miles, right? And we're talking about, I believe it's in California. That's probably through traffic. That's a very long stretch of road.
It's a long stretch to not consider consequences.
Exactly.
Like it's
premeditated.
Well, it's not just premeditated. It's a weird thing to say about rage, right? Because I would say that rage is not premeditated. That by definition, what rage is something that cannot be controlled. I'm just trying to think of an example that I could come up with for me as someone who does not have a child that would summon such an anger point on data that I would not consider that the moment that I try to kill this person, I am now going to lose my freedom, and things in prison would not. They'll go better for Cain Velasquez than
Much
they will
better.
for me.
Much better.
But that I would not consider the consequences of that. I don't know if I ask the audience for a hypothetical. Have you ever been that enraged? Have you ever been so enraged that the consequences are just intergalactically stupid on what it is that you're doing? Because I think people listening to this would understand so much what Cain Velasquez did that they might make up the law the way Roy just did and say there isn't a jury that would convict somebody for that. But my guess is, let me ask you guys this: if I put you in the jury box, if I put all of you in the jury box, and say, hey, you got to come back with a verdict, where are we going with that?
It's really hard, especially if you get the jury pool of parents, to come back and be like, yeah, he was in the wrong there. By the law, yes, in the wrong. But there's got to be some sort of nuance to exactly what's going on, where the matter of, I don't know the legalities of what happened on the other side, right, with the guy who was actually molesting his son.
That's a separate trial.
Right, correct.
Like that's upcoming. So
right, so I don't know what the situation is with that as far as how long he's going to go to prison for. But if the guy whose son got molested and then acted in that way gets more prison time than the guy that molested the guy's son, there's some issues there.
The reality is, a good lawyer is not going to let jurors with that bias even be on the thing, right? I'm not talking about.
No, you're right.
Actors.
A good lawyer will not have parents on that jury. You're going to look for all single people because
you want someone who can be objective, because any parent is going to say, yeah, if I caught someone who had diddled my kids, I'm going to take action. And any parent who hears about a parent doing that is going to be like, yeah, I would have done the same thing. And so it's hard to separate. It's hard to separate in that situation your feelings and the knowledge of what's right and wrong as a parent with what is legal under the letter of the law. The letter of the law says it's not about vigilante justice and all that stuff. But I think most parents would be like, yeah, man, like, I don't know any parents who would be like, Cain Velasquez, how dare you? Like, everyone's like, yeah.
I think to a man, like to a person,
yes.
There's not one parent that's going to be like, meh.
But the consequences of that, man, the consequences.
And to be fair, also, Dan, I think Cain Velasquez is obviously he's fighting for his freedom and all that. But if right before he did it, someone said, wait, Cain, you might go to prison. No, I'll do it in order to make things right in as much as this act can make things
Well,
right?
this really didn't make anything right.
Well, I mean,
like think about the consequences of that rage, the thought process of I'll get justice here, and look at what justice becomes. It becomes you in prison for 5 years harming someone else, and there is no justice here. What is the justice?
Do you think he regrets it?
I mean, but justice also isn't him murdering someone.
No, it's
and
not.
then going to jail for the rest of his life. Like that wouldn't have been justice
It's
either.
not. But my question is, do you think he regrets it? Do you think that, man, I wish I had taken a beat there? I don't think he regrets it. I think he thinks to himself, yeah, I would do it again.
But this is the insidious nature of what we're talking about, which is the worst thing a human being can do. Like there is no justice on it. Like that child is ruined, and sending a pedophile, correctly convicting through the legal system a pedophile who will then go to prison and be ravaged by the inmates who will partake in justice. That's the only justice that will be here. It's not a solving of anything. And a child is ruined. And has now lost his father.
We hope that the child is not ruined. We hope that the child can recover and through therapy and being surrounded by the right people can live a fulfilling life. But again, I just don't believe that he's sitting there in court being like, oh man, what did I do? I don't think that. I think he's like, I'd do it again.
The judge was incredibly lenient, too. He got time served, the 5 years, but also time served on the back end because he was incarcerated for a majority of the last couple of years. But the judge even said it, like, this is a guy who did something that I think every parent would do. So the judge was very lenient.
Well, wait a minute. Do you guys, but if you think if I was talking to Cain Velasquez right now, given the consequences, that he'd do it again?
Yeah. I don't think he did it because he thought he was going to get away with it.
Oh, it's not. Oh, but it's not to get away with it. It's not. You didn't accomplish what it is that you wanted to accomplish, which is killing another man. Like you ended up in prison for 5 years. Like if I ask him, given the consequence, like maybe the answer is yes if you do indeed kill him. Although I can't believe we're having that conversation. But I'm not even asking you that. I think he does regret it. Like I'm not gonna say it's understandable, not merely understandable and reasonable, but it can be those things and stupid. Like, can it not? Can it not be all of those things, even while you understand it?
Absolutely. And here's his quote. What I did was not correct. Velasquez says, I understand that. I paid. I'll pay whatever as far as I have to do with I'll pay it all back. I don't think I can pay it back, but I can always learn from my mistakes and help others. It's just information that you never know anybody. Trust your kids. Have that open communication with them. But the way I handled things was not the way to do it. We cannot pull the law into our own hands.
Vigilante justice.
Thank you, Amin, for putting a bow on that. Do you guys want to go do a show from F1 Spectacle in a couple of months here in Miami? Because we've been offered the ability to go do. They're allowing a few people in video and podcast wise, and we've been given the ability to do that. But it seems like a live show in a very loud place would be hard for a place that can struggle with audio.
But Billy can then have some time to think.
Finally.
Yes, I could.
Would you want
they're
to go?
going to let all of us? I mean, we have a very big footprint. There's about like 80 of us that travel when we go anywhere.
It's going to be more than that if we're traveling doing that.
Do we want to do it?
If we say open bar, Jesus Christ.
Sounds kind of fun.
Will be there.
Is it something that you guys think that we would do well from an incredibly?
I'm sure the audience would love
it. No, we will not do that well, but we'd go to a cool place.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what it's like. It's you guys would be talking, and in the background you go.
I mean, that's no different than the air conditioner here.
Is the race going on, or we're just going to be at the event?
It's a lot different than the air conditioner here.
Or the plane that we hear periodically that flies
It's
over.
no. I mean, he said that as if he would.
He said it like the stat of the day.
Go be segregated. Go.
Yeah.
I want you to leave right now. Go do pitch clock.
Wow.
Get out of here. Just
All right.
go be segregated.
This has been a really awesome tease for the pitch clock this hour.
Yeah. Sorry I didn't help you. It was as good as Oddballs.
That's a good point.
We do a good job promoting other shows. Jessica.
We've broken her.
Jessica.
It took 4 years.
Here's pitch clock.
What are we doing with the bet in the post game? And before we get to the bet in the post game, I want to ask this question. And please forgive my ignorance on this, because there may be an answer to this that's emotional, sentimental about his father that I don't know. when did it become Jimmy Butler III? I didn't know. I didn't know when seeing it in print and whatnot. I did not know. We've made him RG3. I did not know that this was JB3. This has not been something in print that I have seen. This is a recent thing. It has not been the entirety of his career. And I'm asking, when did that happen?
When he went over to Golden State, he, I think, informed them he wanted it to say Butler III on it because his first game that he was on, it just said Butler, and then they added the third, and it was very off-center. Yeah. So I think that, day of Game 1, he informed them he wanted that because the jersey didn't seem ready for the first game, and then by the next game, it was already good to go.
So it's just he wanted to change his name, and he just put
it's his name. It's not changing it. He just wants to go by that.
Right, but he hadn't before, and I'm just asking. RG3 came into the league and was immediately RG3. We don't have a lot of threes that we put a number on their name, and I haven't seen it a lot before. Has it happened a lot before?
Well, I've seen senior being added.
Yeah, Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah. Marcus Morris Sr. Seen a lot of seniors get added, but as far as the third, no. But then also, I want to say it was around the anniversary of the passing of his father when he first got to Golden State. So it was clearly all built into emotions about the memory of his father.
You mentioned Marcus Morris. Did you see what happened, what he said on a pod the other day about talking to his brother Markieff while the Anthony Davis-Luka trade was happening, and his brother going to the Lakers, and it seemed in what it is that Marcus was saying that LeBron knew about the Anthony Davis trade. It was something that felt incriminating from Marcus Morris. Did you see this?
I didn't.
How did you miss this?
Because I don't keep up with every single mid-tier NBA player podcast.
Oddball. Every day except one. Basketball expert Amin Hassan.
Welcome to the Pitch Clock. Here's the pitch. A two-part baseball segment
combining a nostalgic baseball trivia game and an interview with an expert.
This is the Pitch Clock.
Happy baseball season.
Hi, everybody. I'm Harry Carey. Baseball's back.
Good. Harry Carey.
Oh, come on.
This time at the start of the Major League season. We're not here in July. We're here in March, ready for opening day.
Renewed, season 2.
Yeah, season 2 of the Pitch Clock. How about us? We did something, and it's back. I'm here. I'm Jeremy. He's Chris Cody.
Hello.
Adnan Verk will be with us soon to actually preview this baseball season, but for those of you who remember, Taylor Vipolis is our trivia master here. Taylor has a game for us that we're going to get started right now.
So I have 5 categories from the 2005 MLB League Leaders. I have the top 5 answers. So you'll go at the same time, writing answers down. If the person you guess is number 1 on the list, it's 5 points.
Gotcha.
And then you go down
I like
that
this
way.
so much.
Ooh, this is exciting.
I'm going to be bad at this.
I'm stoked.
The first category, top 5 hits leaders from the 2005 season.
This is tough.
Which season?
I only have 2 names written so far, and I only feel good about one of them.
I'm trying to remember. Was this guy around in this season?
Oh. Hold on. I feel good about one of these. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, all right. Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter.
I have that as well.
Derek Jeter, that's 3 points. He was third, so 3 points each.
Okay, next I have Carl Crawford.
0 points.
Craig Biggio?
0 points.
I don't have that. This one I'm almost sure isn't there. Kenny Lofton.
0 points.
Juan Pierre.
0 points.
Wow,
Okay,
really?
I had Juan Pierre.
I assumed Juan Pierre would be at the top there.
So I have 3 other names here that he didn't say.
Okay.
I have Ichiro.
4 points.
Yeah.
Ichiro.
He was second on
That
the
was
list.
just like the first name.
That's
I was
such
just
an
like,
obvious one. I can't believe I didn't think of Ichiro.
I have Pujols. I was just like good hitter from that era.
Pujols was not on the list.
Okay, and then A-Rod. That was just
A-Rod was
Miguel
not on the
Cabrera's
list.
on this list, right?
Miguel Cabrera's not on the list. So the hit leader from that season, Michael Young from the Rangers.
Oh, see.
Ichiro was 2, Jeter was 3, Miguel Tejada was 4, and then Derek Lee was 5.
Oh,
Derek
Lee.
Lee
with the Cubs. I think we had just traded him there.
Way.
Second category we'll go to the home runs leader from the 2005 season.
Oh boy. Is this guy still playing then?
This is the same issue I'm having, Chris. Was this guy around?
I just thought of a random guy that I haven't thought about in years.
That's why we do it.
Ooh, I have one just like that. That just triggered something in my head that I'm hoping works out for me.
All right, I got 5 names. I don't know how I feel about these.
Yeah, I do too. I guess I'll just stick with the 5 that I got, but I don't feel good about it.
Chris, you'll reveal first this round.
Pujols.
Pujols not on the list.
What? Okay, I also had Pujols.
I can't believe I didn't put this other guy. This guy could have been retired by now, but Jim Thome.
Really?
Jim Thome not on the list.
I had Jim Thome also.
Wow.
That's weird.
Barry Bonds. When did he
you have
retire?
Barry Bonds on the list? Too?
No.
Barry Bonds was not on the list.
Was he retired at that point?
I think 04 was his last season.
This
Aramis Ramirez.
Aramis Ramirez not on the list.
Aramis Ramirez.
I saw Cubs, I'm like, Derek Lee wasn't that many home runs. I'm like, who could have had a lot of home runs in that team? Carlos Quentin.
Carlos Quentin not on the list.
Carlos Quentin.
He was like a 30
No,
home
he
run
was
guy.
a slugger on the White Sox.
Exactly.
Yes.
My 3 that I have remaining, because I also had Pujols and Jim Thome. Man, we are exposing ourselves quickly.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years. Leave us alone. A-Rod?
Yeah, that one I should have.
4 points.
Yeah, all right.
Number
That's
2 on
big.
the list.
That, I can't believe I didn't put
Miguel
that one.
Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera not on the list.
Wow. Okay. And Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn
good.
not on the list.
Wow. So that's a tie game.
So what's
7-7 after
what's
two.
our top 5?
The top 5, Andrew Jones led the league in home runs.
Andrew Jones.
A-Rod was 2nd. David Ortiz was 3rd. A repeat from the hit list. Derek Lee had a season.
What a year.
And then Manny Ramirez.
I literally
rounded out
was
the
like,
top 5.
Cubs. It can't be Derek Lee. Who else do they have?
How did I not think about anyone on the Red Sox? He was wearing reading glasses to show that time had passed. Adnan Virk, now with me. We're going to do the actual MLB breakdown for you all. We'll get back to the trivia game with Chris in just a second, but Adnan of MLB Network, MLB Tonight, he'll be on MLB Network doing MLB Tonight on opening day on Thursday. Adnan, hey man, it's great to see you. Been 6 months since I've seen your face.
I was about to say, it's been a minute, buddy, but it's great to see you. I'm so glad the pitch clock is back, which is fantastic news for all of us here as baseball fans. Of all the matches to look forward to, and we'll get into all the games to look forward to, the fact that the Dodgers and Tigers, Snell versus Skubal, that is as good as baseball gets. I can't wait.
What's crazy about that is that I think I'm going to be at an even better pitching matchup between Sandy Alcantara and Paul Skeens. That's how good opening day is.
Yeah.
That's how good opening day is, and we'll get to it. But basically, what I wanted to do here was just sort of go through players and teams to watch as we can kind of set everybody up for what to expect in this baseball season. So where I want to start with you is with the top 5 best players in Major League Baseball going into 2025.
So at number 5, I got Bryce Harper, 2-time MVP. I want to see Harper finally get that elusive World Series ring. I've got him at 5. Number 4, I've got Bobby Witt, who you can't spell hit without Witt. He was the runner-up for the MVP in the American League. The guy's WAR is off the charts. Mookie Betts, 2-time MVP, coming off a World Series championship. I got Aaron Judge at 2, one of the best seasons ever by a right-handed hitter. And, of course, number 1, Shohei Ohtani. How does he top 50-50? I can't wait to see him pitch again. I'm praying he wins a Cy Young. That's the only way he could top himself. And what he's done so far, go out win a Cy Young as a pitcher now.
It would be amazing. And I love that list. To me, one of my favorite players in baseball is Bobby Witt Jr. I can't wait to see how he follows up last season. And that actually leads perfectly to my next question for you, because sometimes the best player doesn't necessarily mean the most watchable. So, Adnan, who are your top 5 most watchable players in Major League Baseball?
Well, I got to go with the starting pitcher of the game. You mentioned him, Paul Skeens. To me, Paul Skeens is on the mound. This guy's a top 5 must-see event in television. His second season, he's going to start opening day for the first time. Number 4, I've got Mason Miller, because he throws 103 miles per hour.
That's
so every
a
time he
great
comes
one.
to the game for the A's, I love Mason Miller. Number 3, Juan Soto. Not just for the fact he hits, but also the Soto shuffle, all the histrionics. Every time he's up there, Soto's fun to watch. Number 2, the aforementioned Bobby Witt. I'll put him in my top 5 with exciting players because he's a 30-30 to waiting to happen. And number 1, Fernando Tatis, because he's an absolute showman. He's so exuberant. Every time Nando's up, the hair, the glasses, the flair, love him.
Give me your top 5 best teams in Major League Baseball headed into this season. I imagine there'll be some of the similar names that we're used to.
I got the Yankees at 5, but I think that AL East, it's funny. I was looking at one of the draft kings. I think it was their projections for the AL East. All 5 teams between 80 and 88 wins. It was crazy. Not much separation in the AL East. So I think it's going to be tight. I'll put the Yankees. Number 4, I'll take the Mets. Concerned a little bit about their starting pitching because the fact that Manaea is not healthy to start the year. But that offense, dude, when you've got Soto, Lindor, Vientos, Pete Alonso, they're going to mash 2 through 6. I really like their offense. Phillies, they got to bang. Again, this is their year. Schwarber's a free agent after this season. Zach Wheeler's got to win a Cy Young one of these days. Him and Noah together, amazing. A little bit concerned about their bullpen, but their offense is going to score a ton of runs, as they should with Trey Turner and others. Number 2, I've got the Braves. They could challenge the Dodgers. Best record in baseball. Now with a healthy Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna. And number 1, of course, it's the Dodgers. I don't think they get, the all-time wins record. Only they click close to the Mariners, so they don't need to. I think they win 106 games, and they feel good about it. They win the division. But those are my 5 right now. Heavily slated towards the National League, as you can see. Top 4 all NL.
And a lot of coastal baseball that we're talking about. The Midwest is not going to be happy with you, Adnan. But maybe a couple of those teams make this list. I asked you about watchable players. Who are the top 5 watchable teams?
I think the Chicago Cubs are a very interesting team because of the fact that Kyle Tucker is now there. Could be a $400 million man as a free agent. And I love Pete Crow Armstrong. I got to go to Cubs camp in Mesa, Arizona, Jeremy, and talk to PCA. He's a great dude. He's got the crazy hair. He's just a fascinating individual.
And his mom is from Little Big League.
I was about to say, mom from Little Big League. So I asked him about that. He said, I got to meet Ken Griffey Jr. We talked a little bit about baseball. Number 4, I got the Jays. Big year for the Jays, okay? Vlad's going to step up. Both these guys walk years. I think their starting pitching is actually the best in the American League East. D-backs, dude, their starting pitching. Speaking of, no one's thinking about Corbin Burns. The fact he's now a member of this Arizona staff, along with Zach Gallen. Jordan Montgomery's almost forgotten. Man, Eduardo Rodriguez. Their starting pitching in Arizona is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And their offense had the most runs in the National League last year, led by Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Josh Naylor's now with that team. The Royals have got number 2. Again, not just Bobby Witt. I love Vinny Pasquantino. Italian breakfast, one of his nicknames, the Pasquatch. And the fact there's a Sasquatch wandering around is hilarious. And number 1, you touched on it earlier, Ellie De La Cruz, the Reds.
Yes.
I think Terry Francona, the Tito Magic will come back. The Reds are an exciting, fun, young team to watch. Spencer Steer, Matt McClain, Hunter Green with their pitching staff, Andrew Abbott. I think the Reds can be pretty fun.
Third category, we're going to the wins leaders in the 2005s. Not teams, pitchers.
I'm going with a couple of big names here just to do it because I feel like they should be mentioned.
All right. I feel decent about 5. I got 5. This guy, he was hurt by then.
All right.
Come on. Think of one more guy. Think of another guy.
I've got 5. All right. Roger Clemens.
No. Roger Clemens not on the list.
No. Okay. Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson not on the list.
Really? Okay.
Pedro Martinez not on the list.
How is that the case? Okay.
I'm feeling better about my names.
I am feeling like an idiot.
Yeah.
Jake Peavy.
Jake Peavy not on the list.
Don't have that one either.
The last one's my favorite just because I wanted to say his name and mention him. Brandon Webb.
Brandon Webb not on the
list.
list.
That's a good guess, though. CC Sabathia.
I had CC and crossed him out.
Not on the list.
Okay, thank God.
Roy Halladay.
Roy Halladay not on the list.
This is insane.
Tim Hudson.
Tim Hudson. I hate to say it, boys. It's not
Wait,
on the list.
I have one more, though, right?
Yep.
I think, yeah. Mark Pryor.
Mark Pryor not on the list.
I'm-
You guys are going to
hold on.
kick yourself at who would have been 5 points.
Go.
Tell me.
Dontrell Willis, the
Oh,
D-Train.
no!
20-plus wins that
so
year.
Chris Carpenter's on this list.
Chris Carpenter was number 3.
That's the year.
Yeah, that's the year.
Damn it.
Roy Oswalt's on this list.
Jeremy, now that he knows
I can't believe I didn't remember this was the D-Train year.
That's offensive that we didn't get D-Train.
Bartolo Colon was 2, Chris Carpenter was 3, Roy Oswalt was 4, and then John Garland was 5th place.
I can't believe that we're starting this season with maybe the most upset I've ever been at myself.
Going into the 4th, anybody's game, the 4th category is strikeouts.
As a
pitcher.
Okay.
Who was punching people out.
We just said all these names.
Yeah, now I can't remember any of them.
All right, whatever. I guess I feel decent.
I mean,
about
I have
this.
5.
I got 5.
All right, Chris Cody.
I basically have 4 names that we just said in the last category, and then one other name.
Yep.
Dontrell Willis.
Dontrell Willis not on the list.
Oh, no!
He wasn't a huge strikeout guy.
I also had him on the list.
CC Sabathia riding this train.
CC Sabathia not on the list.
Chris Carpenter.
Chris Carpenter is on the list.
Oh,
he is
no.
3rd on the list, 3 points.
You kept him off?
I kept him off.
So 3 I get?
Yep.
All right, big. Roy Oswalt.
Roy Oswalt not on the list.
And then this one I just thought of, didn't think of it last category. David Price.
David Price not on the list.
too
Probably
early
too
for
early
him?
for him.
Okay, my 3 that I have that he didn't, the 2 of them I'm going back to the well. Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, 4th, so you get 2 points there.
Okay,
Ooh,
I'll take
not
it.
3
Okay,
though.
but I'm still one behind you.
Yes.
Pedro Martinez.
Pedro Martinez, 5th on the list, so you get 1 point.
Oh,
So we're tied.
wow.
And Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon not on the list.
Yes, wow. What a
This
game.
was Pedro's Met year. again, you're going to kick yourself on some of these names.
I know I am.
Johan Santana was first for 5 points. Second on the list, somebody you said last round, Jake Peavy.
No!
4 points.
No!
Would have been 4 points.
No!
Peavy, he was a strikeout.
Then it was Chris Carpenter, third, Randy Johnson, fourth, and then there was a three-way tie for fifth. Doug Davis, Pedro Martinez, Brett Myers.
Doug Davis. What a name. That brings me back.
All right, Adnan. Now we talked about some of the best players, some of the best teams, the watchable players, the watchable teams, but some of those guys have switched teams. I think a lot of people always get caught off guard by trades and free agent movement. So who are a few players, Adnan, that switched teams this offseason who you think could end up having a big impact?
I think Christian Walker is a really key guy for the Houston Astros. This is a different year, Jeremy, for the Astros. They're not going to have Alex Bregman there. They're not going to have Kyle Tucker there. Christian Walker expected a good season there with the Houston Astros. Josh Naylor, I mentioned on there with the D-backs. The guy's a run-producing machine. They had a great offense a year ago. Naylor could be 30, 100 in the desert with a really good team around him as he goes to the next level. Obviously, Soto with the Mets, $765 million man. Devin Williams, an electric closer for the New York Yankees. I'll throw one more at you. Anthony Santander, the Blue Jays. He had over 40 home runs last season, signs a 5-year deal with the Jays with the deferred money. It's only $14 million a season. The Jays needed some oomph, and they've got that now with Santander. Those 5 guys, for me, very interesting what they're going to do this year.
Who are a couple of teams, Adnan, that you think might be able to surprise people this season?
So I think the Reds are one of those teams because, again, in that division, it's very winnable. I do think the Cubs should win that division. I think the D-backs, people are looking at way too much at just the Dodgers. The D-backs are going to push them a little bit. And I do think a forgotten team is the San Diego Padres.
We all expected them to beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. That was what everybody anticipated. So there's no reason for me to believe that they won't still be a really good and competitive team. I'm going to make you give predictions at the start of the year so that inevitably we can make fun of you at the end of the year when they're wrong. So, Adnan, I'm looking for your MVP in each league, your Cy Young Award winner in each league, and your Rookie of the Year in each league. Let's start with MVP.
For MVP, I'm going to go with Vlad. Going into his season, how crazy would that be? Vlad goes out, wins MVP, then gets $500 million from the Toronto Blue Jays. He's been knocking on the door. He was second back in 2021. I think he does it. I want to say Ohtani, Jeremy's the easy pick, but why not? Let's go Ellie De La Cruz. I'm riding the Reds train. Just has a massive season for Terry Francona and the Reds. They make the playoffs, and Ellie just goes off.
If those two dudes win MVP, we're looking at a very fun baseball season. Who are your Cy Young Award winners?
I'm going with ball schemes, not exactly off the board. They're the Pirates, but I like this KC one. Cole Reagans, who was fourth in Cy Young voting a season ago. He had 223 strikeouts. I love the guy. Got to go to Royals camp, like I said. I think Reagans is absolute nails. That Royals staff, second most innings, second best ERA of any team. You look at Seattle a lot. Logan Gilbert's kind of a trendy pick. I'm going with Reagans.
I can already see the headline, raving about Reagans. And the Rookie of the Years for you.
Kate Smith's going to break camp with the Houston Astros. I think they have a good season there with Houston. Could be a really important piece for them. And this one, I don't know when he's going to get called up, but I hear a lot of good things. I watched him in spring. Chase Dollander of the Rockies. What a great story that would be. A pitcher actually wins Rookie of the Year. He's got all the tools. I know the Rockies are awful, so maybe they'll take their time. But I'm telling you, Dollander is going to be dollars for the Rockies.
Finally, Adnan, look, you told me who you felt the best teams were. The interesting element, you had the Yankees as the best team in the American League. And you had the Dodgers as the best team in the National League. Is that your World Series prediction? Who makes the World Series this year, and who ultimately wins it?
So this is going to get a little bit ridiculous. I kind of wanted to go Chicago Cubs out of the World Series because I was like, you know what? They're going to have an easier path than those other teams, but I can't go quite there as much as I love Craig Counsell. But I will go D-backs getting back to the World Series. How about that? I'm set for the Snakes as they go back. And you want me to go really nuts? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, but I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals of the American League. They're back in the World Series. With this, I'm all about Reagans and Witt and Seth Lugo and Lucas Ursig and Vinny Pasquantino. I'm buying the Kool-Aid at a Kauffman Stadium. A Royals D-backs World Series. Could you imagine?
Give me the Pasquatch in the World Series right now. Diamondbacks Royals. You heard it here first. Hey, baseball fans, I hope you enjoyed the plethora of information that Adnan just delivered to you, but we have to finish our trivia game with Chris Cody. Who will come out the victor? Me or Chris? Find out right now. We're going into the final category here, tied at 10 points apiece. Taylor, what is our final category?
Let me
of 2005
guess.
stats?
I just want to guess because he's gone 2 hitting, 2 pitching. I bet stolen bases.
No, good idea, though.
Yeah.
I am going to the bullpen. We're going saves.
Oh.
Who were the saves leaders in 2005?
Give us an extra. I need 90 seconds for this. Not
There
a minute.
is a name that came to mind that I think I'm too early on.
Okay. I got 5 names. Feel great.
All right, I've circled 2, and I'm already upset with myself for eliminating one of these names, and I think it's going to be the difference. Let's figure this out.
I feel good about 4 of my 5.
Jeremy, reveal your 5.
Mariano Rivera.
Same. Got that.
Mariano Rivera, tie for 4th, so you get 2 points.
Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner not on the
Yes.
list.
No. I do not have him on there. Big.
Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor Hoffman tied for 4th on the list with Mariano, so you get 2 points there.
Okay.
Chris, you didn't have
No,
Trevor?
I don't have him.
Jonathan Papelbon.
Papelbon, not on the list.
Yes. I don't have him.
Bobby Jenks of the Chicago White Sox.
Good pull.
Bobby Jenks not on the list.
Not on the list, really, even in a year where they had a good year. All right, so I've only
Chris,
got 4.
How many names do you have still? 4.
I have 4 names.
So you need 2 to tie, 3 to win.
I feel great about
Oh,
this.
you're going to win.
I might be. See, Gagne. Eric Gagne.
Oh.
Gagne not on the list.
No!
Oh, wow. Fernando Rodney.
Fernando Rodney not on the list.
God. Oh, my
God.
No.
Oh, my God.
Kevin Gregg.
Kevin Gregg not on the list.
Okay, good. Good
I
for
was
you.
just like, thought of a closer of that
So
era.
this is your last name. I'm sick. He's going to blow this.
I am.
Who is this
I
going
don't
to
feel
be?
good anymore.
Say it.
Keith Folk.
Keith Folk not on the list.
Yes! What we're God. Let's go!
The saves leader that year from the Washington Nationals, Chad Cordero.
That's
2nd on the list from the Los Angeles Angels, Francisco Rodriguez.
Oh,
K-Rod.
K-Rod.
Of course.
I am a piece of shit.
Tied for 2nd with K-Rod from the Cleveland franchise, Bob Wickman. And also tied for 4th, a name, popular name from the early 2000s, from the Minnesota Twins, Joe Nathan.
Oh, Joe Nathan, of course. I am pretty sure last year I either won once or not at all, and it didn't come until very much toward the end of the year. So I am grateful to kick off.
I felt good about Mariano Rivera.
Opening day episode.
Eric Gagne.
With a victory.
Fernando Rodney.
Score 1 for Jeremy.
The Washington Generals get 1.
All right, Dan's asking us to come up with steaks for this.
I mean,
Jimmy
ribeye,
Butler
New York strip, churrasco,
Filet mignon.
tomahawk.
I would be good with actual steaks.
Me too.
Porterhouse.
Porterhouse. You're a porterhouse guy?
Oh man,
It's
love a
big.
porter. It's big.
But the
man.
problem
Good
is then
sharing.
if he wins the bet, he can't eat steak. So he
His has to
has
be
to
tuna
get
steak.
something else.
Have you ever had like a really good tuna steak?
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
of
it's
course.
like butter.
Oh, it's
Bluefin
so
tuna.
good.
Yeah, it's
Toro, toro.
Lehman
Like
actually
butter.
caught a bluefin tuna
For
once.
real?
A huge one.
Solo?
Offshore fishing in the Keys recently.
by himself.
With a guy he knows
With
who's
a
like
team.
a charter
Yeah,
fisherman.
Yeah,
team.
because I don't
He
think
made
like
friends with.
that's a big thing. You don't.
Oh no, there's like the massive ones that are like
Yeah, it
500
wasn't like a
pounds.
500
It's not
pound
one of
one,
those.
but it was pretty big. It fed us for like a week. It was he filleted it and then he made like this really good like sesame crusted tuna thing, and then he made like sashimi.
It's on his IG, by the way. if you wanna
It
see
is actually probably.
That's
on
that's
his
how I
IG.
know I saw it. Yeah.
Plug it.
So I guess tuna steaks for
Lehman.
Dan, real
At
steaks
Lehman.
for me. Is that Lehman's gonna hate today's show, but minus this part. He'll like this.
Why?
Part.
He doesn't like
Too
his
much-
business being
too
out
much
there?
Lehman.
Too much Lehman. He's like, I'm a behind the scenes guy.
We learned a lot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I feel
mystery
it.
Chris.
Guys, I have a
People know.
question. I've listened to the show the last couple of days. Zaslow, he does this thing that I used to attribute to Mike Ryan. Then I realized Whitty does it too, and then I heard Zaslow do it. And,
Thing.
that-
Yes.
without having a conversation.
Yes. I mean,
why
yes.
do they do that?
I don't. Do you guys know?
Who's the original?
British cosplay? I don't know.
But that's not what Zaz is
I
doing.
bet it was Zaz first.
It has to have
You
been.
think they're copying Zaz? Because that
No.
makes
Subliminally.
No way Whitty copies ass.
Well,
What are you
Whitty
talking
copies
about?
Mike.
Whitty copies Mike.
right.
Mike
Like it's
copies
a
Zaz.
tree. Zaz
I mean,
coaching
maybe.
tree.
I mean, how could they get through this without having a conversation about it? I'm like, why do they say it like that?
I agree. I was thinking the same thing all week.
But I can't even do.
Amin.
I can't even do it
It's
right.
like very
Sounds like
flat.
a buzzer.
They have an enunciation to.
It's ah.
I mean, we haven't talked
Ah,
about this, but us back here have talked about it. I don't know if you heard it on the show. How do you feel about when you come into the studio and then there's music being played that may not be like the music you like, but it's being played throughout the office?
Look, here's the thing, and you're gonna learn this. You're still new at being a father.
Yes.
When you have kids with an S, Billy knows what I'm talking about. It's just a cacophony of noise all the goddamn time. And so as a father, to maintain your sanity, you just learn just a hum in the background. I have no idea. Yes, he plays music. I don't know what he's playing. All I know, I have memories of individual moments, like the day he played Pink Pony Strip Club,
Pink
whatever
Pony
it's
Club.
called. Yeah,
3 times in 1 week.
Yeah, and so I was like,
Great song.
That was
Worth it.
I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard it. And everyone's like, oh, it's the best song. And I'm like, nah. And then the next song was Toto Africa. And everybody was singing along like it was karaoke. And I was like, see, that's a great song.
The song's been around for 40 years.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. 40 years.
There's a reason why.
In 40 years, Pink Pony Club will be the same thing.
I bet you in 5 years it won't.
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
I bet you next year it won't.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You just said that Pink Pony Club
it's a hit.
will be as relevant in 40 years as Toto's Africa
Well, it
is
depends.
today.
Is Weezer going to cover it? You guys
That's a
heard
good point.
the Weezer cover?
That's the reason all these 22-year-olds in our office know what it is.
I'm going to tell you right now,
Wow, that
straight
was
up.
so dismissive.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
you're
like a-
shaming
Sorry,
people.
Mike Malley and Ethan Badowski. I love you.
Jeremy, let me tell you something. Forget about Toto Africa. That's a Hall of Fame. Why am I bringing that up? It's not even as catchy as Party in the USA. It's not even as catchy as Party in the USA.
Wait, are we talking about Toto?
No, he's saying Pink Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club
Wow.
is
I
a
think-
smash hit from a new artist that's going to be around for a long
It's
time.
not as catchy as Party in the USA.
think
Then
they're
a
both
Jay-Z
pretty
song
catchy.
came on.
I think they're both pretty catchy.
Well, and also
I
Party in
think
the
Party
USA.
in the USA is just a completely different message and vibe, so you're just going to listen. It's not quite the same.
But
They
you
played
also
it when they caught Obama. You, know
you
that?
also have 4th of July to always
When
bring
they
back
caught
Party
That's
in the
right.
USA.
Well, when they killed him.
Osama.
Oh, Bin Laden.
I thought you said Obama.
He did.
Yeah.
Did
he
I say
definitely.
Obama?
He definitely.
No, he is very much alive.
He very much
retired.
Billy, thank you. I thought I was hearing
And
things.
rich.
I'm pretty sure he said it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
He's
him.
looking. He's looking.
Title's
It's
going to
there.
be Amin confuses Obama with Osama.
I mean, you know.
No.
No, I'm saying
No.
it's one letter. It's one letter.
was a lie.
Hey, you using sounds from Because Miami? What are you doing?
He can't see.
You can't see.
I thought they were color coded. What happened?
Yeah, color. Yeah,
The
exactly.
segregation, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Osama is what I said.
Okay.
They
Nobody-
played
That's
what you
Party
meant.
in the
That's what
USA.
you meant.
Who did? Like the Navy SEALs?
No, the people outside, remember, like gathered outside the White House and they were playing Party in the USA?
I don't remember that.
I
That was
remember
like
it.
my 16th birthday. Yeah.
Well, then you should have been playing Party in
How
the
do you not
USA.
remember?
I was
It's
at
your
my
16th
DMV
birthday.
appointment that
Put my
morning.
hands up to play my song.
I had to buy it off the internet from a scalper.